Welcome to the horror game. Your number is 351,147.
Current dungeon, Greed Ghost Convenience Store.
Difficulty, E, current head count, 4 out of 4.
Main quest, survive, stay alive in the dungeon for 3 days.
As this is your first entry, you've received one newbie gift pack. Open it now?
Note, after opening there's a 20% chance to awaken a talent, a 50% chance to obtain an item, and a very small chance to gain both.
Horror game? The one where newbie mortality is over 80%? The boy in a black cap blurted. Beside him, the princess bun girl pouted, I heard the entry threshold is 18, it snatches 5 citizens who just turned 18, I finished college entrance exams yesterday, could my luck be any worse? The briefcase man, half phantom from being yanked in mid-work errand, said nothing, eyes sweeping the area to size things up. Also fresh off yesterday's exam, Yun Han silently thought, open the newbie pack. Congratulations, you awakened SS's tier talent, Calamity Walker, Empress Building System. Make your first daily check-in now? Yun Han confirmed, yes. Check-in successful. Congratulations, you obtained B-tier talent replication.
Congratulations, you obtained 1 bag of milk candy. Congratulations, you obtained 10 cubic meters of personal storage.
The milk candy has been auto-stored.
Replication, B-tier, upgradable, usable 3 times per day, with a small chance to crit for 2 to 5 times the yield, uses reset at midnight. 1 bag of milk candy. Contains 20 pieces, eating one gives a modest feeling of fullness that lasts 3 to 5 minutes.
Yun Han had mixed feelings, an SSS talent called Calamity Walker, Empress Building, it sounded grand, yet offered no life-saving move. 3 minutes 22 seconds until the game officially begins, start your livestream? An SSS talent with no self-protection would only invite trouble if exposed, Yun Han chose no without hesitation. If you change your mind later, you may reopen the livestream at any time. Enjoy the game.
Anyone here happen to have watched a walkthrough for Greed Ghost Convenience Store? The briefcase man asked in a low voice. 5 years ago the horror game descended, each year it randomly drags in 5 citizens who just turned 18. At the same time, a translucent screen appears before every person, citizens can operate it to enter different live rooms and watch players clear dungeons. If someone had watched a convenience store walkthrough and knew the pitfalls, the 4 of them would have a much better chance to live. The black cap boy shook his head first, I love horror streams, but I've never watched anything on Greed Ghost Convenience Store. The princess bun girl added, all my bandwidth went to exams, I planned to study it after, then bam dragged in the next day. Yun Han said too, I focused on the exam, barely watched any horror streams. The briefcase man sighed.
Unnoticed, the countdown ended, and a mummy wrapped head to toe in gauze appeared before them.
Bandage Ghost, Tier E, proprietor of Greed Ghost Convenience Store, abilities unknown. It scrutinized the players, I'm the store owner.
We currently lack 1 cashier, 1 stocker, 1 cleaner, and 1 warehouse manager, anyone volunteering? Yun Han raised a hand, I'm suited for cashier. The bandage ghost smiled oddly, good, you'll cashier.
The briefcase man said, I'm strong and meticulous, warehouse fits me.
Fine, the bandage ghost nodded. The princess bun girl reacted fast, first to speak gets first pick, so she beat the black cap, I'll do stocking. Which left cleaning to the black cap boy. Black cap? He thought, so I don't even get a turn? The bandage ghost tossed back, work well, do. Poorly and I dock your pay, then went into the break room. Now what? The princess bun girl wavered. The briefcase man said, for now, the only option is to do the job properly. He trudged toward the warehouse. Blackcap followed to find cleaning tools. The princess bun girl looked to Yun Han for help. Let's work, Yun Han said, heading to the register. The princess bun girl returned to straighten shelves. At the till, Yun Han opened the drawer and carefully counted the ghost stars inside. To be sure, she counted 3 times, confirming a total of 1,123 ghost stars in varied paper denominations. Done, she bound them with a rope. She set a hand on the stack and silently intoned, replicate. Replication successful. Congratulations, you triggered 3 criticals. You obtained 1 stack of ghost stars times 3. The tripled stacks have been auto-stored. Seeing it worked, Yunhan lifted the bundled stars and spoke again, replicate. Replication failed. The same item can be replicated only once. For holders of replication, even equal or higher tier talents can still distinguish originals from copies. Yunhan untied the rope and returned the stars to the till. From storage she took out 3 fresh stacks, bundled them, and tried, replicate. Replication failed. Copies cannot be replicated further. Yunhan, no self-defense and all these limits, what good are you? She stowed the new stacks, sulking. Barely 18, yanked into a horror game right after exams, bad enough. Worse, this was Yunhan's second life. In the first, also named Yunhan, she was born ordinary. Parents pinned phoenix dreams on her to lift the family, so she studied hard, always near the top, entered a famous university, then on the eve of graduation passed interviews into a big factory and began a 996 grind. In the factory you don't complain, even when little Saturday half-day, big Saturday full-day gets redefined, you still get summoned to overtime and you still don't complain. If you do, people say, so delicate, others can do it, why can't you? Proud and stubborn, Yunhan went 5 years without taking leave, never late, never left early, always volunteering overtime to outperform. In the end she proved she was capable and proved with her life that schedule is inhuman. Push long enough and sudden death comes easy. Reborn with memories, second life Yunhan became an orphan. Thinking back, she felt no pride, only exhaustion, and swore to live salted fish style, lazy and unbothered, but life mocks plans. Orphan meant growing up in welfare care, no family cushion, forced to chase scholarships and daily expenses. To ease the home's burden she moved out in senior high, juggling study and side tests, almost made it to the slow life of college and then got dragged into a horror game. Without a strong mind she might have quit already, thinking there might even be a third life she'd have to restart. Yunhan decided to struggle a little longer. Ah! A shrill scream cut Yunhan's thoughts. The Princess Bun Girl bolted from the shelves, face white as chalk. While I was organizing, an arm suddenly reached out and grabbed me. Her lips trembled, words nearly breaking. Yunhan, calm down, it's a horror game, seeing ghosts is normal. The girl whimpered, but it held my hand. Are you hurt? There's a mark where it grabbed me, it doesn't really hurt. Yunhan stared, saying nothing, eyes basically meaning, you can figure it out. The girl flushed, I'm scared. Yunhan thought, telling me won't help, I've got no attack or defense, at best we stand together and die together. Could you, come with me, the girl whispered. Iron-willed, Yunhan said, on the clock, do not leave your post. We won't leave, and no one will even notice. Her scream had drawn the bandage ghost to patrol it. Snorted, leaving your station for no reason and hindering others, demerit. The girl panicked, she'd watched enough streams to know demerit meant the boss was displeased, 3 strikes equals death. She didn't dare argue and slunk back to the shelves. The bandage ghost flicked Yunhan a look, then returned to the back. Yunhan guessed it wanted to punish her too, but rules tied its hands, so it grumbled off. If it's not a forced death flag, there's room to maneuver. Business was sparse. A long wait brought the first customer, a granny with a cat's face. She didn't browse, just stared at Yunhan and kept licking her lips hungrily. Yunhan pretended not to see. The more you do, the more you err. Keep your head down, do your role, and survival odds rise. Right now, cashier cashes, nothing else. No matter how long the customer stared, Yunhan stayed silent, mute as a sticker behind the till. After who knows how long, the cat-faced granny finished drooling and finally shopped. Minutes later she set 4 packs of fresh meat on the counter. Ring me up. Maybe the ghost world is tech backward, maybe the store is ancient, either way there's no barcode scanner. Yunhan checked each pack, same type, unit price 6 ghost stars, did the math and said, that'll be 24 ghost stars. The granny yowled like her tail got stepped on. How is it 24? It's clearly 20. I come here all the time, don't you dare cheat me. In a blink, Yunhan saw she wanted a scene, refused 20 and the customer raises hell, except 20 and the ledger won't balance and the boss will raise hell, either way, dead end. The granny also spat, can you even count? You're not fit to cashier. Demerit, I'll get you a demerit.
Yun Han's counterplay clicked, "Dear customer, praise comes with a rebate." The insults stopped, the granny eyed her, "How much back?" "5 ghost stars," Yun Han said. "Nicolan Diming tops out at 4 ghost stars, but if the customer pays full price and leaves praise, the cashier can be rewarded 5. The granny tilted her chin. "You think 5 ghost stars can buy a ghost off?" Yun Han was about to raise it when the granny slapped down 24 ghost stars, all swagger, ring it, praise it, rebate it. A minute later, Yun Han received a praise, and the cat-faced granny left content with 4 meat packs and the 5 ghost star personal rebate Yun Han had kicked in. Next came a liquor ghost hugging 3 bottles of cheap baijiu, insisting on buy 2 get 1. Seeing the unit price was 8 ghost stars, Yun Han said, "If you praise me, I'll comp you 1 personally." Delighted, liquor ghost paid and heaped on praise. He was happy, Yun Han was happy. Deal done. She handed over the freebie. "You're a good one," the liquor ghost sighed from the heart. "I'll come to you next time." Yun Han smiled him out. As for 3 days later when the run ends and liquor ghost can't find her, that won't be her problem. Money talked, so Yun Han adapted fast and handled things smoothly. Just as another ghost customer left satisfied, an argument flared in the aisles. "You bumped me and acted like nothing happened. Did the owner teach you that?" "I'm sorry, I didn't notice." "Fine, I'm easy. Give me 1 arm and we'll call it even. I won't fuss." "No way, ah. My arm's gone." "You're a thief ghost? You bumped me on purpose to steal? No apology and a false charge? 1 arm isn't enough, at least 2. Footsteps sounded, then the Princess Bun girl snapped, "You did that on purpose. I'm calling the owner to judge." The thief ghost laughed, "When the manager comes, not just your hands, your legs are mine too." The steps stopped. Yun Han glanced over and saw the girl halt, face hardening. The thief ghost, thinking she wouldn't run, crowed, "Right, I'm not greedy, just both arms. I'll even leave you a praise, better than the others, right?" He reached to grab her, quick as a flick. The girl's face went blank. She whipped out a talisman and slapped it on him. Flames engulfed him. He thinned to smoke and vanished. With a series of clacks, a pile of knickknacks hit the floor, spoils he'd worked hard to collect. She didn't pick them up yet. First she checked all around. Turning back, she locked eyes with Yun Han. In that instant both fell silent. Yun Han kept a calm face while screaming inside, "Killing a ghost and silencing it here, of all places." The girl thought, "A customer comes in, and instead of serving it properly I sprinkle its ashes. This won't end with just 1 demerit." With that, she tossed a black leather bracelet onto the counter. "Finders keepers, your share." Not generosity, but insurance. Once Yun Han accepted it, they were accomplices. Unless Yun Han wanted to risk her life avenging the thief ghost, she'd keep quiet. The bracelet looked ordinary, occasionally flashing a strange dark gleam. Yun Han picked it up. Black leather bracelet, F-tier ghost gear, binds ghosts of tier F and under. The higher the target, the shorter the bind. Use requirement: spend 20 ghost stars for 10 seconds of effect. You may also sacrifice a body part to power ghost gear. The link lasts as long as contact with the sacrificed part. Yun Han put it on her right wrist and turned her head away, firmly not looking at the scene. A clear signal. She saw nothing. The girl scooped the loot and returned to the shelves, pleased. As soon as she left, the bandage ghost hurried into the lobby. "I heard a commotion." Yun Han played dumb. Nothing happened. Not reassured, it made a round. Everyone else was working. Only the black cap boy had set down his mop and sat on the floor to rest. Slacking on the clock demerit, the bandage ghost said coldly. "NK Flustered, books." Black cap raised his voice. "I'm not slacking. I already mopped." "Oh really?" The bandage ghost pushed open the restroom door. The floor was slick with black water, filthy and slippery. Black cap gaped. "I definitely mopped just now," defying discipline, demerit. Its eyes turned dangerous, as if about to act, as if ready to declare a third demerit. Black cap blanched, not daring to argue. "Maybe I misremember. I'll clean it right now." He grabbed the mop and scrubbed hard while the bandage ghost watched like weighing a slab of fatty meat. Panic gnawed at him. He felt like he wouldn't live much longer. At dusk, the convenience store closed for the day and the bandage ghost began the daily tally and payroll. Janitor, 2 bad marks, daily pay deducted. Chemistry clerk, 1 bad mark, daily pay 20 cuisaw. Warehouse manager, no praise no demerit, daily pay 40 cuisaw. Cashier, 9 praises, daily pay 130 cuisaw.
After the last line, it shot Yunhan a strange look, as if it could not fathom how she earned 9 praises. Yunhan thought, "You have no idea what money can do." "Alright, that's it for today, perform well tomorrow." The shop owner tossed off and left, vanishing from the player's sight. "Close up, quick," the briefcase man urged. They worked together to seal the front door. He pushed a few times, found it would not budge, and finally relaxed. Holding the freshly earned 130 cuisses, Yunhan went to the vending machine to buy food and water. 1 bottle of mineral water 500 milliliters, 2 cuisses. 1 instant meal, 20 cuisses. 1 rice ball with pork floss and seaweed, 5 cuisses. She sighed, horror game indeed, risk your life to work and a day's pay barely covers 2 meals. Then she tapped to purchase, spending 12 cuisses on 1 bottle of water and 2 rice balls for dinner, and sat in a corner, back to the wall, eating slowly. The armored princess schoolgirl and the briefcase man bought dinner in turn. Having skipped lunch, the guy in the black cap had a growling stomach. Mortified, he stammered, "I have no wages yet, could anyone lend me 20 cuisses for a meal?" Even as he spoke, his eyes went straight to Yunhan. The richest among them was the likeliest lender. Yunhan did not reject him outright. "What did your newbie gift pack open?" "We can trade." The black cap boy blurted, "No way, I still need my kuikai to stay alive." The moment he said it, he knew he had slipped, and who would lend after that? He had fancied himself a cool-headed old soul with foresight. In truth, he reacted slow, failed at everything, and even talked badly. Seeing him deflate, Yunhan relented. "I've never seen a kuikai before, how about you take it out and let me have a look? If you agree, I'll lend you 20 cuisses." He thought a beat and nodded. Ruler, kuikai grade F, can inflict blunt damage on ghosts. Note, especially effective on students. Use condition, spend 20 cuisses to wield for 10 seconds. When he displayed it, he clutched the ruler tight, afraid of being robbed. Yunhan reached out and brushed it. "So this is an F-grade kuikai, interesting." After the touch, she transferred 20 cuisses, terms met, deal done. It had gone so fast the black cap boy stared, dumbfounded. "That's it? You just looked, gave it a feel, and paid 20 cuisses?" "Yes, just to satisfy a damn curiosity." Yunhan nodded. At the same time, in her personal space a ruler identical to his appeared, because during that touch she had burned 1 replication chance and obtained an F-grade ruler. 20 cuisses for an F-grade kuikai, what a steal. No pity, no mercy, just 20 cuisses to outfit herself for safety. "Thanks," the black cap boy beamed and ran to buy dinner. Over dinner, the briefcase man shared basics. The horror livestream sorts by instance. Players in the same instance appear on one list. Avatar shows your real front face so viewers can hop rooms for fresh angles. Numbers are black when streaming, white when not, gray when dead. One glance and you know. I advise turning on stream while working. If you run into a true love fan, 50% of tips go straight to your account and your clearance odds rise. The princess schoolgirl perked up like she was about to pull out a notebook. "Since we've met, how about intros?" the briefcase man started. "I'm Chow Fai, 33, your average salaryman." "I'm Duon T-Ham, 18, a 12th grader," said the princess. "I'm Zhang Wei, 20, at a technical school," said the black cap. Last was Yunhan. "I'm Yunhan, also 18, also a 12th grader." Chow Fai at her, "First day and you bagged 9 praises, how?" Zhang Wei chimed in, "Yeah, we're teammates, teach us." Yunhan said, "You probably can't copy my method, my newbie pack open cuisses, so I told customers the praise would be privately rebated, and they stopped making trouble." Duon T-Ham gaped, "You can do that?" Chow Fai nodded, "No wonder you took cashier on purpose." Zhang Wei asked, "Where did the store owner go, and why did you rush us to close?" Chow Fai rattled on, "Nights in the ghost world are deadly. Not only do ghosts eat ghosts, thunder ghosts also barge into rooms to eat people. Only way is to lock windows tight and reopen at dawn. Ghost ranks run from top down SSS, SS, S, 8, B, C, D, E, F, G. Newbie instance difficulty is E. Most ghosts inside are G and F. The convenience store boss is E, and when he goes out at night it's probably to hunt. They say ghosts power up 2 ways, either absorb energy in cuisses or devour other ghosts." Hearing this, Duong Tm hugged herself. Chow Fai soothed, "Hold out a few more days and the newbie instance ends. Back in reality you'll be fine." With no dorm, the 4 players slept on the lobby floor. Unnoticed in a corner, Yun Han touched the black leather bracelet. Replicate. Replication successful. Player obtained 1 black leather bracelet. Having used the day's last replication, she rested easy and closed her eyes. At dawn she woke to a huge line of text. Proceed with the second mark? Yun Han confirmed, yes. Mark successful. Congrats, you gained G-grade talent shadow manipulation. Bonus, 1 bag of milk candies. Shadow manipulation, G-grade talent, upgradable. You may freely manipulate your shadow to attack. Unlimited activations, total daily duration 30 seconds. Use time resets at midnight and recounts the next day. Yun Han was speechless, a true offensive talent, but G-grade and counted by seconds, at most 30 seconds a day. Where's the Empress's flair in that? She asked how to level. Replication grade B, level condition, accumulated replication value equivalent to items worth 10,000 Kuisao. Shadow manipulation grade G, level condition, devour Kuikai or ghosts. The higher the target's grade, the fewer needed. Done reading, she wordlessly fed the replicated F-grade black leather bracelet to the shadow. The shadow stretched into a wide mouth and gulped it down. Shadow has devoured F-grade Kuikai, needs 20 to 30 minutes to digest. Shadow manipulation unavailable during digestion. Early morning after breakfast, they had barely unbarred the store door when the bandage ghost returned. Bandage is loose and smeared with inky slime like it had just fought a war. Bandage ghost, grade E, moderately wounded, proprietor of the Prophet Ghost convenience store, ability unknown. Its eyes gleamed vicious. I'm going to rest, do not disturb me unless necessary. The 4 humans nodded and went to their posts. Perhaps word of the praise rebate had spread, because customers swarmed today. A roll of bandage, a cleaver, a can of food, everything and anything. Many items were cheap, so the praise rebate math worked out to almost a 40% discount. A stingy ghost crowed, Prophet Ghost convenience store, bone-cracking mega sale. Yun Han wanted to correct him, but he had already hooped out the door. She could only think these ghosts were gifted at twisting words, and the inevitable result was a traffic spike. How many off for this kitchen set? No discount, praise rebate only. The cheapskate ghost instantly soured. Discounts are discounts, rebates are rebates, 2 separate promos that customers should stack. Yun Han kept her merchant's smile while chanting in her heart. Peace, democracy, unity, friendliness. Then her shadow blossomed into a bloody basin of a mouth and swallowed the cheapskate whole. Another ghost roared, how dare you, I'll give you. The word bad had not left his lips before the shadow swallowed him. 2. Yun Han smiled more sweetly. Cashier doubles as security, specializing in unruly customers. Once more, the shop has no bone-cracking sale and does not allow bad marking the cashier. The rest froze, then bolted in a flock, and the world fell quiet. News travels fast in the ghost world. Here there is a bone-cracking sale and crowds pour in. Here the cashier eats ghosts in broad daylight and the neighbors scatter like a hornet's nest. All morning, not even a fly or mosquito dared come in. At noon Yun Han ate her boxed lunch while checking talents. Prompts appeared. Congrats, shadow manipulation rose from grade G to grade F. Shadow manipulation, grade F, upgradable, freely manipulate your shadow to attack, unlimited activations, total daily duration 60 seconds, use time resets at midnight. Then more, shadow devouring a G-grade ghost needs 3 to 5 seconds to digest, shadow manipulation unavailable during digestion. Shadow devouring an F-grade ghost needs 2 to 3 minutes to digest, shadow manipulation unavailable during digestion. Shadow has undergone a very slight change. The more it is fed, the more obvious the change. Evolution direction depends on traits of what it eats. Yun Han decided, from now on the shadow is a trash can, anything useless gets fed to it. In the afternoon no customers came in, so Van Han laced a little and opened the mark bag that yielded sample milk toffees. The sugar touched her tongue and a rich milky aroma blossomed. The candy was soft and chewy, unusually tasty. No wonder it is a System Mark product. Delicious. She reached out for another piece, one more, and one more again, and in the blink of an eye she had eaten 5 in a row, making the space around the cashier counter fragrant with milk. A female cook ghost stood before the register, inhaled deeply, her gaze fixed blankly on the toffee, and asked, "How much for the candy?" Female cook ghost, rank A, passionate about cooking, ability unknown. Van Han froze a beat and answered, "Personal belonging of an employee, not for sale," whereupon a trace of baleful air slipped across the cook ghost's face and black mist began to spill from her body. Because Van Han had lowered her head, she did not see it and added, "But this is nothing precious, I can give you a bag," then took a full bag of toffee from her personal space and offered it generously. The cook ghost rudely tore the package, tossed the candy into her mouth, and crunched away. "You too, what are you doing?" Bandage Ghost came out on patrol, saw the scene, and his blood pressure spiked as he blustered, "On the clock and not doing your jobs, Demmer." Before the words were finished, the female cook ghost had already glared viciously at the shopkeeper, murderous intent surging. Bandage Ghost fell silent at once, thinking, "Save me, why has an A-rank ghost come into the shop? We almost failed to treat our guest properly." He pivoted in a heartbeat, forcing a smile uglier than crying, "Serve well, make sure the customer is satisfied." And while speaking he backed away and in an instant slipped into the inner room to huddle and not come out, a thing like an A-rank ghost. He truly did not want to touch for even a second, he did not even dare meet her eyes. The female cook ghost ate 3 pieces in a row, an unprecedentedly satisfied expression on her face. "The candy is delicious, this is a return gift," and she pulled from her bag a starfish ghost. Starfish ghost, rank E, possesses super regeneration, everyone knows it is a famed delicacy. Starfish sashimi is superb. Van Han was puzzled. The cook ghost drew a cleaver and, on the spot, performed a live starfish sashimi demonstration for Van Han. When more than half was sliced, the remnant half trembled madly and quickly recovered into a complete body of its original size, only now it burrowed into the cook ghost's bag and refused to come back out. Van Han stroked a slice of starfish sashimi, her tone tinged with wonder. "So it really can regenerate," and behind her back she secretly attempted replication. But the system warned, "Warning. The body of a starfish ghost cannot be replicated." Van Han could only give up and had her shadow devour the sashimi instead. The system prompted again, "When the shadow devours an E-rank ghost, it needs from 40 to 60 minutes to digest, during which the talent shadow manipulation cannot be used." Van Han's spirits rose. The convenience store instance is an E-rank map. Once shadow manipulation rises to rank E, she will have the power to protect herself. In the restroom, Zhang Wei listlessly mopped. Because he often watched live streams, he knew a few facts. Praise can add 10 ghost stars for that day, but cannot erase a demerit. In other words, no matter how much praise or how many ghost stars one earns, the moment 3 demerits are accrued, the player will undoubtedly die, and at present he already had 2 demerits. He had watched many highlight reels of masters and thought he would be as awesome as they were after entering the instance, yet upon entry he discovered that those people are called masters precisely because much of their behavior simply cannot be replicated. Even knowing the operations is not enough, he lacks their talents, their ghost gear, and even their courage. "It is only the 2nd day, can I still clear this?" His faith wavered and he could not help doubting himself. At the saddest thought he stopped swabbing, leaned on the wall, and sighed heavily. "Lazy again, demerit." The shopkeeper suddenly appeared. Excitement and agitation flashed in his eyes, though his face put on a show of disappointment. This was already the 3rd demerit. Zhang Wei tensed and hurried to explain, "I was not slacking, only resting a little." Before he finished, the bandages on the shopkeeper automatically unfurled and swiftly wrapped Zhang Wei. After a while the bandages retracted and Bandage Ghost licked his lips in satisfaction. Human flesh and blood truly are a great tonic. Then he looked into the distance. That was where the other 3 humans were working. Van Han received prompts. 1 player has died. Currently present headcount, 3/4. Along with these there popped up, "Congratulations, F-rank talent shadow manipulation has risen to rank E." Shadow manipulation, E-rank talent. After ascending, you may freely command your shadow to attack. Usage is unlimited, with a total daily duration of 180 seconds. Time already used will be cleared at 24 hours that day, and the next day the count resets. Shadow trait 1, possesses powerful regeneration and will gradually self-heal after being injured. Shadow trait 2, the shadow may transform into any form it will. While Van Han was reading the system, she suddenly noticed another person at her side and muttered, "Trouble," then looked up to see it was Gao Fei. Van Han was baffled. Someone who often watches horror streams and knows the rules still dares to leave his post at will. "Are you truly not afraid to die?" "Do not worry, the convenience store instance actually has a few hidden rules." Gao Fei spoke evenly. The shopkeeper stipulated, "Do not leave your post without cause." The implication is that with a legitimate reason one may step away. Cashiers and stockers may go to the shelves to help customers fetch goods, or, because stock on the shelves is sold out, go to the storeroom to replenish. If the floor is dirty, the cleaner naturally has to go to the shelf area, the front counters, and the storeroom to sweep.
As for the restroom, staff using it is completely normal, and so long as one does not go too many times in a single day there will be no demerit.
Van Han sized him with an unreadable look. You know this very clearly, Gao Fei answered calmly. I watched videos about this convenience store and know the walkthrough. Clack!
Duong Tiham was so startled she failed to hold steady and the wooden spoon in her hand fell to the floor. She could not believe it.
Did you not say you did not know?
I did not say that, Gao Fei corrected. I merely led the question to test whether you two knew. Duong Tiham was shocked, her worldview collapsing. Time is short, no leisure to chatter, sit tight and listen. Gao Fei seized control. This instance has 4 optional positions: cashier, stocker, cleaner, and storeroom manager. Whoever volunteers first chooses first, and if no one steps forward the shopkeeper will assign at will. Here the cashier can be considered the most dangerous position. You never know what kind of ghost may enter the store. Every day is full of uncertainty, and when you meet a difficult customer you may easily lose an arm or a leg. Stockers must tidy the shelves and while working may encounter shopping customers who deliberately make trouble or be toyed with by a hand ghost. The former must dodge in time, the latter can be sent away by sacrificing a finger. Next is the cleaner. The restroom houses a finger water ghost of rank F that often makes the floor wet and no matter how you mop it will not come clean. To deal with it, as with the hand ghost, either feed it with a bit of your body or beat it to death. Otherwise, when the shopkeeper inspects and finds the restroom commonly dirty, he will not blame the water ghost but will say the employee works carelessly and give a demerit. As for the storeroom manager, on ordinary days you just stay in the storeroom, there are no ghosts there and you will not be checked. And Duong Tiham fell silent, thinking what a fine fellow. From the very start the heavy and dirty tasks are for others while someone rides a direct train to clearance.
Gao Fei went on, in addition, if the shopkeeper
here's a big commotion he will come out to look, and roughly every 1 to 2 hours he also comes out once for irregular patrols. You can work slowly, but if his patrol finds you resting he will use employee laziness as a reason to give a demerit. Once 3 demerits accumulate, the enraged shopkeeper will tear the player to shreds.
You refused to share the walkthrough before, why share now? Duong Tiham asked.
Originally I was confident I could clear safely and had no need to meddle, but now things are different, Gao Fei enunciated. The shopkeeper is injured. I saw him deliberately pick on Zhang Wei, and soon after we received the notice of reduced headcount, I have reason to believe he intends to eat employees to heal. If we do not unite, we may face a party wipe.
Before joining forces, should we split up rather than cluster?
Van Han was speechless. If we are to discuss business we should find a hidden spot, and besides it is work time right now. If the shopkeeper finds us gathered and chatting, all of us will be in trouble.
From the moment the horror game descended I worried I would be dragged in, so I kept myself ready, Gao Fei said. I have watched every newbie instance on the market. Unless we enter a completely new one, I definitely know the strategies. Everything I said is true, consider it well. And after tossing the bomb he spun around and ran, leaving Van Han and Duong Tiham standing and slowly digesting it. The next day's curtain fell. At dusk Bandage Ghost dragged his sickly body into the hall and began the daily summary. Stalker, new today, 40 ghost stars, with 1 accumulated demerit. Storeroom manager, new today, 40 ghost stars. Cashier, 5 praises, new today, 90 ghost stars. And after handing out the work tally the shopkeeper said nothing more and returned to the inner room. Gao Fei looked to Van Han and Duong Tiham, awaiting their reply. All right, I will show my hand. Duong Tiham shut her eyes and decided to tell the truth. In fact I am a second-generation celebrity wanderer. My father and elder brother are both high-level players in the horror game and they gave me a few little life-saving toys. And she displayed what she carried. Peace Jade, rank E, special ghost gear that can block 3 attacks of rank E or below in a single instance. Usage condition: upon sensing danger it automatically protects the bearer and costs no ghost stars. Silver sword pendant, rank F ghost gear. The silver is real, the pendant is real, and the tiny sword upon it is real. Though small it can kill an enemy. Usage condition: 20 ghost stars to use for 10 seconds. Fire talisman, rank E talisman that can badly wound an E-rank ghost and slay ghosts of rank F and below.
Van Han watched with mixed feelings. Offense and defense fully covered. Was this not a newbie entering the instance with a whole lake of explosives? Duong Tiham said earnestly, the world is not safe now. My family makes me wear them at all times and never take them off anywhere. And it was precisely because of this caution that even when the horror game suddenly dragged her in she still had charms and ghost gear for protection. Gao Fei was stunned and, after a long time, gently reminded. Walking on the street like that, you might be robbed, to which Duong Tiham replied,
Father says human society's public security is far better than the ghostly world. In comparison,
NK
it is
Books.
better to shoulder a little risk than be pulled into the game unprepared, and that indeed made sense. Gao Fei had to admit, entering an instance prepared is far stronger than going in barehanded. With Duong Tiham's consent, Van Han carefully inspected the peace jade, the silver sword pendant, and the fire talisman, then introduced herself. I am a pure rookie, no family backing, and I have not studied the streams carefully. If I must claim a specialty, it is that I have a bit of capital. And Gao Fei felt his mind whirring through calculations and formed a plan very quickly. You two wait here. I will go contest the storeroom manager slot and then come back to form a party to fight the boss. Chapter 4, Hiring a Ghost to Kill. Xiao Fai opened the newbie gift bag, which in fact contained 3 curse slips. Curse slip, E-rank, can curse E-rank beings and those below. Write the target's true full name on the slip and the curse takes effect at once. Realizing the shopkeeper wanted to use players as his logistics, Xiao Fai tried writing the 3 words Bon Dai Kui on a curse slip. But the system prompted, scanning, within a radius of 500 meters no such human or ghost found, please re-enter the cursed target's true full name. Xiao Fai did not know the shopkeeper's real name, but that was fine, there was a way. He went into the storeroom and peered deeper inside. Rename slip, E-rank special item, after use, you can rename a designated target. Whether he used to be Zhang San or Li Si, as long as you rename him to Wangy, he becomes Wangy. With a rename slip, Mom never has to worry again that I don't know the target's true name to curse. Xiao Fai felt the shopkeeper would die soon, so taking items from the storeroom did not matter, but he overlooked one fact: about to die still means not dead yet. Using a store item it will meant stealing the boss's property. He found a rename slip, had just stuffed it into his pants pocket to take away when Bon Dai Kui stepped out of a corner, shrieking in fury, watchman stealing from his own post, demerit. 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 Before Xiao Fai could react, bandages wrapped him layer upon layer. A scream rose, then vanished. Minutes later the storeroom returned to calm. The system prompted, a player has died. Current head count, 2 out of 4. Hearing the system prompt, the two waiting in the lobby looked at each other. What now? Duong Tiham gazed at Van Han expectantly, waiting for her to decide. Van Han, I already used my talent today, there is not much combat time left, we form a party tomorrow. If the cute female cook comes again tomorrow, best ask whether she will accept a hire. What is the going price to kill an E-rank ghost? Yes, the best method is not to strike yourself, but to hire a ghost killer. I'll follow your lead. Duong Tiham moved closer to Van Han, only thus could she feel a trace of warmth. Don't overthink it, sleep first. We still have to hustle tomorrow. Amid anxious unease, Duong Tiham closed her eyes and drifted off. On the 3rd day, Van Han woke from a dream. A prompt had long been waiting. Proceed with the 3rd check-in? Van Han confirmed in her heart, yes. Check-in successful. Congratulations, you obtained a bag of milk candies. Congratulations, you obtained the E-rank talent Swift as Wind. Swift as Wind, E-rank, cannot be leveled up, temporarily increases movement speed and attack speed. Unlimited uses per day, with a daily time bank of 180 seconds. Time used is reset at 2400 hours the day and recalculated the next day. Joyful Harvest, talent +1, combat power increased, survival odds up. Because they wanted to wait for the female cook, the two survivors worked as usual for the moment. But while Duong Tiham was listlessly doing paperwork, Bon Dai Kui suddenly appeared. Bon Dai Kui, E-rank, low injury status, ghost owner of the convenience store, abilities unknown. From moderate injury to low injury, the shopkeeper's wounds had clearly improved. Startled, Duong Tiham's hand trembled, a porcelain bowl fell and shattered. Damaging store goods, demerit. Showing disrespect to the shopkeeper, failing to greet first, demerit. Duong Tiham? She realized the boss had gone mad. To eat fresh flesh, it began fabricating charges at random. In the pinch, Duong Tiham conquered her fear and shouted, I'm willing to buy the bowl. I'll compensate the store's loss. You misunderstood, I revere the shopkeeper deeply. Because I worship you too much, I dare not speak. Rashly. Bon Dai-Qui instantly swapped the charge, shouting for no reason in the shop and frightening the owner, Demerit. The broken porcelain bowl is the shopkeeper's cherished treasure, irreplaceable, qui saw compensation not accepted. Duong Tiham, give me a break. There are dozens of the same bowls on the shelf, and you call it an irreplaceable treasure. Seeing the bandage strip slash toward her, she slapped a fire talisman without hesitation. The bandage stuck to the talisman, reeking with a harsh burnt stink. Duong Tiham tore off her silver pendant, a palm-sized little sword, and swept a cut. At the life and death instant her mind went crystal clear: either she handled Bon Dai-Qui, or Bon Dai-Qui would eat her. There was no other choice. The Peace Jade would automatically protect its owner. This dungeon still granted one block hit chance. Trading life for life was not without odds to win. Good plan, but the blade had not yet reached Bon Dai-Qui when a rough-faced customer ghost grabbed her wrist. As a temp worker, attacking the shopkeeper at will is not allowed. The customer ghost licked its lips, plainly drooling. Shopkeeper, I helped you seize the troublemaking employee. How about her pair of hands and feet as my thank you gift? Bon Dai-Qui was not doing well either. After taking a fire talisman, its injuries deepened again. Seeing a customer cut in, it snorted, do you take me for a stingy ghost? If you like her, take her. Eating an employee is still better than eating the shopkeeper. Like a pig being pointed at for butchering, Duong Tiham's courage almost split. She struggled madly yet could not break free. Done for. There is no going back this time. The thought had barely formed when a colossal ghostly shadow gulped the customer ghost down in one bite. What on earth is that? Freed, Duong Tiham's legs went weak and she plopped to the ground. NK Books. Sorry, I was late. Van Han swung her ruler, flicking away the grimy bandage that tried to sneak attack, and explained, to keep customers from barging in, I closed the shop door before we fought, cost a little time. Seeing the feral shadow sprawled on the floor melt back into Van Han's silhouette, Duong Tiham gaped. Shadow has devoured an F-rank ghost, requires 10 to 20 seconds to digest. During this time the talent Shadow Manipulation cannot be used. Van Han drew out a black leather loop to bind Bon Dai-Qui. It would not bind, simply would not. Bon Dai-Qui split into several bands of cloth, springing like vipers. At that, Van Han took a fire talisman duplicated from Duong Tiham's and pasted it onto Bon Dai-Qui. A boss resists better than a common E-rank ghost. 2 talismans only put it at moderate injury, and it still gnashed a threat. Damned lice, I don't believe you still have talismans. Smack. The second. Smack. The third. Smack. The fourth. True to her E-rank swift as wind, Van Han's hands flew. With a flurry of slaps she pasted all 4 attacking bandage strips in a blink. The convenience store stank of scorch. Van Han looked at the shopkeeper with fondness. Blame it on replication high rolling earlier. She had a total of 5 fire talismans, so yes, she had stock. The 4 bandages, grievously injured, shrank back and reformed Bon Dai-Qui. Now it looked drained and smaller. It stared at Van Han, eyes full of fear, terrified she would pull out another stack of slips and paste. Smack smack. Van Han stalled, waiting for the shadow to finish digesting. Suddenly wind split behind her, she spun and shielded Duong Tiham. Under attack, Peace Jade uses 1 charge. Charges remaining in this dungeon, 2 out of 3. Duong Tiham did not see what exactly happened. She only knew Van Han let off a string of boom booms, and when the bandage tried a cheap shot, Van Han blocked and took the hit for her. Eyes brimming, Duong Tiham choked out, "You're so good to me." Van Han whipped the bandage away with her ruler and warned, "Stay sharp, the game isn't over." Duong Tiham scrambled up, face taut with vigilance. Yanked back to its body, the bandage made Bon Dai-Qui grow a few centimeters taller. Its expression shifted gloomily, as if hesitating over something. Before Van Han could parse it, the next second Bon Dai-Qui turned tail and ran. Duong Tiham blurted, stunned, "It's that smart? Knows to flee when it can't win?" Quicker than words, a great black shadow lunged again and swallowed Bon Dai-Qui in one gulp.
Bondi sensed doom and tried to split and escape. Of 5 strips, 4 were gulped, the last was swatted back by Van Haan's ruler. Where do you think you're going? When the shadow squashed one last bite and ate the shopkeeper's final fragment, prompts chimed. Shadow has devoured an E-rank ghost, requires 1 to 2 hours to digest. During this time the talent shadow manipulation cannot be used. The convenience store owner is dead, the dungeon ends early. Players, prepare to leave the dungeon in 10 seconds.
Congratulations on clearing the newbie dungeon and becoming a formal player. Your current overall strength is rated E-rank.
Your outstanding performance in the dungeon earns rewards, 500 Quisaw and the special E-rank ghost gear pouch 1 piece. Pouch, space type ghost gear, can store 4 cubic meters of non-living items and has no carried weight.
Ghost gear and talents can both be used in reality. System error, system error. In the real world, the SSS talent Walking Calamity, Empress Raising Mark system is disabled. Van Haan stowed 500 Quisaw into the pouch. Replicate. Replication successful. Congratulations, you triggered double criticals. You obtained 2 pouches stocked with Quisaw. The 2 pouches stocked with Quisaw have been placed into your personal space. Van Haan's eyes sparkled, she knew she had found a wealth password. The eerie world and the real world are offset in time, but their flow speed is the same. When the game ended, Duong Tiham returned to reality, checked her phone, and saw it was the 4th day after the university entrance exam. She called her grumbling big brother, 1,000 words squeezed into one sentence. I got dragged into a horror game and just finished the newbie dungeon. The brother had known something was wrong when he could not reach her. Hearing that, he asked anxiously, how are you? Are you missing any limbs? Duong Tiham, almost.
The brother exhaled, told you. In your 18th year there would be a great calamity, you must change your name to survive.
Duong Beautiful Grace, don't run around, I'm coming to get you.
Duong Tiham hung up stone-faced.
Who is Duong Beautiful Grace? She had always been Duong Tiham, never heard of that.
She had been named Duong Tiham since childhood and only answers to that. Call anything else and it is not her.
Yes, that's that, no rebuttals accepted. Back at her place, Van Haan tallied assets. Quisaw in some amount, F-rank ghost gear black leather loop, F-rank ghost gear ruler, E-rank ghost gear piece jade, F-rank ghost gear silver pendant sword, 3 E-rank pouches, 1 E-rank fire talisman, some milk candies. Van Haan fed the shadow the black leather loop, the silver pendant sword, and 2 E-rank pouches. She had planned to feed it the ruler too, but thought the shadow needs ghost gear for defense during digestion and besides the ruler fit her hand, so she kept it. Because her property was not much and in the newbie stage she needed life-saving ghost gear, Van Haan simply listed 2,800 Quisaw on the trade board, offering 2,800 Quisaw, seeking a guy to introduce the market. In less than 5 minutes someone messaged privately, 1 Quisaw equals 100. 2,800 Quisaw comes to $500,000 in one price, yes? By official exchange standard, 1 Quisaw equals 150 in real-world money. The buyer offered high, a no-cost flip, even skimming the odd difference made profit. Van Haan did not dither, deal. The buyer asked, how do we trade? Van Haan, by post. The horror game had invaded for 5 years, at first it was chaos, now clandestine player trades were commonplace, as convenient as online shopping. Van Haan was straightforward, and the other party was not finicky, they snapped orders, transferred funds, said make it quick, then went offline. With the deal struck, Van Haan called a courier and shipped the Quisaw. The courier inspected carefully and, after confirming no issue, sealed the chest. The next day the buyer received the Quisaw, verified there was no mistake, and confirmed receipt. In just 2 short days, Van Haan's account balance suddenly showed an extra $500,000. She kept 100,000 for herself and anonymously wired the remaining 400,000 to the welfare home that had raised her, that very welfare home. Their finances had been tight for many years, yet Director Jiang, the Jiang Mama, cherished the children, even letting them take her surname. Van Haan likewise took the director's surname, her household register name is Jiang Van Haan. She thought she alone could not spend much, and she could earn more later, so she donated without hesitation. Van Han, if you are going to mix in the world, how can you use your full true name? Duong Tiham, be that as it may, it is still ugly to death. Chapter 5, Real tough guys are supposed to eat candy. Time flew, in a blink more than half a month had passed, and after clearing the last dungeon, Van Han ordered boxed meals and shopped online, had everything delivered, and for a stretch hardly set foot outside her door, playing games, binging dramas, flipping through comics, watching variety shows, days as blissful as could be. Now this is living, she rejoiced, reincarnated in a different world for 18 years. She had finally attained the salted fish retirement life of her dreams. Another week went by. Van Han received a letter of admission stating that anyone just turned 18, not yet graduated, and dragged into the horror game at college age must report to the Horror Academy to enroll, where teachers would cover basic knowledge, explain live streaming in detail, and tell them how to survive better. Van Han thought, I really do not want to go to work. What now? Can I pretend the letter never arrived? When prompts popped up, it has been 30 days since the previous game session. The second game is about to begin. This time's dungeon, Ghost Market. Difficulty, D, current headcount, 8 out of 8. Main quest, appraise and submit treasures. Within 3 days, submit items whose total appraised value exceeds 500 ghost stars to leave the dungeon. If you finish the main quest early, you may choose to exit immediately, or remain in the dungeon until the game ends. Welcome to the horror game. Proceed with the 4th daily check-in. In her heart, Van Han confirmed, yes, and check-in successful. Congratulations, you obtained 2 bags of milk candy. Congratulations, you obtained 2 boxes of tranquil mind tea. Congratulations, you obtained 10 cubic meters of personal storage. Personal storage auto-merges, total is now 20 cubic meters. 1 box of tranquil mind tea contains 20 tea sachets. Steep and drink to produce a certain satiety effect. Each sachet lasts 10 to 15 minutes. Congratulations, you obtained E-rank talent Strength of an Ox. Strength of an Ox, E-rank talent, cannot be upgraded, your power increases 8-fold over baseline. Van Han placed the 2 bags of milk candy and the 2 boxes of tranquil mind tea into a chest, merged copies, and obtained 1 chest of sundries. Each person receives 200 ghost stars. Within 3 days, submit items with total value over 500 ghost stars. The Paperman ghost cashier finished the seed money and left, clearly unbothered that players might run off with the funds. I have read thee for this dungeon, said a youth in gold-rimmed glasses, instantly drawing every gaze. As long as you front your own money and buy at stable fair prices without stepping on traps, 500 ghost stars is enough to clear. Eyes widened at once. Clear a dungeon and get 300 ghost stars for free. That is insane. Great plan, sadly useless to me. I am broke, no spare ghost stars. It says players can see ghost item grades. Should be easy to scoop bargains, right? No, the gold rim youth shook his head. In the ghost market you cannot inspect stall goods info. Whether it is a steal or a ripoff depends entirely on your eye. Also, in this dungeon you must avoid moving alone. The ghost city has thief ghosts and bandit ghosts. A short-haired schoolgirl clapped a hand over her mouth. Thief ghosts steal belongings, bandit ghosts kill and rob. Is this dungeon really that hard? Some find it simple, some find it brutal. It depends, the youth replied. Van Han scanned stall after stall and asked, can players rent a stall to sell things? They can, he nodded. In fact, when short on ghost stars, some players tried selling the ghost gear on their person, and did sell successfully, but then he added, only for the seller to take the proceeds to bargain hunt and get conned badly. The guy was super remorseful, said he should have skipped the stall and just turned the gear in. So that is how it is. Van Han's eyes flashed with dawning comprehension. A shriek sliced the air. Everyone looked over to see a man missing his right arm, clutching the wound and collapsing with groans. Is he a player? When did he get here? More than when he came? I want to know what he did. How is he missing an arm when the game just started? Players murmured, faces clouded with doubt. The gold rim youth sighed. He said he was broke and short on ghost stars. I suspect he tried stealing from a ghost, and warned solemnly, the ghost market polices humans harshly. If you get caught, losing an arm or a leg is the mild outcome. You might lose your life. And as if to prove it, an old ghost ripped off the man's left arm, then the right thigh, then the left leg, savored the screams, then twisted his neck. A player has died. Current head count, 7 out of 8. After witnessing a fellow human's death, the gold rim youth lost the mood to lecture, muttered a few perfunctory lines to those beside him, and formed a 3-person squad to head out. Want to team up? The short-haired girl invited. Van Han looked over. I plan to set up a stall and sell things. You sure you want to come with me? The short-haired girl. There were 8 players total. 1 had died. 5 had successfully teamed up. No one else remained. To avoid being alone, she relented. Fine, I will keep you company at the stall. Thinking it worst they would waste a day, safety first. Grateful for the warm-hearted short-haired cutie, Van Han decided to remind her specially. Actually, the expense is more than 500 ghost stars, which made the girl blink. Van Han continued, because you have to eat. A meal costs about 20 ghost stars, super pricey. 3 meals a day makes 60 ghost stars. 200 ghost stars barely cover about 3 days of food, whereupon the short-haired girl erupted. Who eats 3 meals a day in a ghostly world? 1 meal a day is enough to not starve to death. And Van Han, they traded looks. The girl asked, you really plan to eat 3 meals a day? And Van Han said, if I am not full, how do I have strength to play? After which both fell silent until the girl concluded, you eat? I will not stop you. I do not eat, do not meddle. And Van Han agreed. She then found the paperman ghost to ask terms for renting a stall. 20 ghost stars per hour, 100 per day. The paperman ghost sized her up and said, if you are caught swindling, angry customers will tear the stall owner apart and eat her. And when Van Han asked, what if the customer is at fault? He smiled falsely. Then of course the stall owner can swallow the customer. Deal. Van Han clapped, delighted. Any stall works. I will rent for a day. While the short-haired girl silently thought 100 ghost stars per day and she is happy. Does she realize what that is in cash? Van Han paid, the paperman ghost assigned her a booth, and in no time everything was set. What do you plan to sell? The girl asked, truly curious what ghost item required a full-day dedicated sales booth. Milk candy, Van Han said, pulling out a bag, opening it, and listing unit sales at 5 ghost stars per piece. The short-haired girl was speechless. 1 bag had 20 pieces. Sell a single bag and you earn back the booth fee. But could something like this at that price actually sell? Here, sit. There were little stools. Van Han took one and offered another to her temporary teammate, who twitched her lips and said, no need, I will browse nearby, stay safe. Van Han waved. I will, not going far, the girl said, ambling to chat with the neighboring stall owner for intel. Van Han took out the leftover bag of candy from the previous dungeon and ate while she waited. Just then a burly man ghost passed by. We real tough guys never eat sweets, especially milk candy, he proclaimed at full volume. Said Van Han, the streets brimmed with ghosts. If a burly one did not like sweets, perhaps a little chef sister ghost would. A moment later the burly one passed again. 5 ghost stars for 1 candy, why so expensive? And Van Han retorted, this is milk candy even A-rank ghosts love. Pricing it low would insult its worth. Sure, any plate was once used by an S-rank ghost king and any candy is beloved by an A-rank ghost. Bragging without a script, he sneered and moved on, only to stand before her stall a third time. Do not block my business. You stand here and other ghosts will not dare approach, she said. Besides me, no ghost wants to stop at your stall, he shot back. Van Han merely looked at him, meaning, how would you know unless you were secretly keeping watch? Realizing his slip, the man ghost flushed and wished he could dig a 3-bedroom apartment with his toes and hide in it. Burly man ghost, rank B, brawny through and through, a solid hunk, ability unknown. Van Han pondered and offered, how about I give you a sample? If it is good you buy. And though he was wildly tempted he kept a stern face. If it is free, I suppose I can taste. So she handed him a candy. The rich milk aroma hit his nose and he almost could not wait before popping it in. Creamy and soft, and more wondrous still, it produced a definite feeling of satiety. This is the candy a real tough guy should eat, he said with tears brimming, then fired questions. Where did you get it? Is there more? 5 ghost stars each, right? I will take the lot. And while handing over candy she watched him secretly. Seeing his eyes moisten, she was startled. Was it that dramatic? Were chicken milk candies such divine artifacts that they could make a tough guy cry? I made it myself, only I have it. She stressed her monopoly before asking, is it that delicious? Delicious, he boomed, too excited to control his volume. After eating I am not hungry, it is amazing, and she caught the key. You are hungry as a rule, right? No matter what or how much I eat, every minute and every second I feel hunger, he said, wearing the mask of torment. When I was lower rank it was duller. The higher I climbed the hungrier I got. 1 second I am gnawing a pork knuckle, the next I feel empty, and when the hunger lasts, my mood turns foul. I want to kick everyone I see. He rubbed his belly, blissful now. After eating I feel calm and lazy, and Van Han thought, is that not the gluttonous Tao-Tai? Realizing ghosts come with Tao-Tai traits, never truly full, forever in hunger, starved long-term, they grow violent, brawl and devour each other, still not filling the void, looping endlessly. No wonder the ghost world is so vicious. There are 20 pieces here, all yours. She packed every candy on the counter and added a reminder. They produce a certain satiety effect. Each piece lasts about 3 to 5 minutes. Plan accordingly, and the man ghost stowed the candy
tossed down 100 ghost stars, and left beaming. Van Han then found a vending machine, bought several bottles of water at 500 milliliters each, and decided to test the tranquil mind tea. The short-haired girl returned from gathering intel, saw the candy gone, and cheered. So you finally realized selling milk candy at a street stall is unreliable. No, the candy sold out. Now I am thinking of selling something else, Van Han corrected. The girl was stunned, disbelief filling her eyes. All 20 pieces sold, at 5 ghost stars each. Yes, why would a ghost agree to such a lopsided deal? Do not tell me he had never seen milk candy. A B-rank tough guy, Van Han said, glancing into the distance. A tough guy who loves milk candy. The girl could not picture it. If the buyer is happy and the seller is happy, what is the harm? Van Han said, brewing tea with room temperature water, sipped, and sighed. Shame there is no warm water. With warmth it would taste better. The girl pressed her bracelet, and in her empty hand a thing appeared. Inexhaustible kettle, specially ranked ghost gear, pours endless clean drinking water and can set the temperature. Borrow it, brew it well and give me a cup. Deal, said Van Han. 10 minutes later they were each holding a hot cup, perched on tiny stools, picture-perfect quiet days. The short-haired girl, chatting idly with the neighboring stall owner, also opened a live stream. Viewers, seeing this, began to riff on going feral on air. I came for horror live streaming, not a food show. A stall with only 2 tiny stools wrongs these 2 queens, swap and recliners and the shot would be gorgeous. I do not get it and I am shook. What rank is a female player running a stall? How dare she be this leisurely? There is something here, eyes up. Inhaling, the girl felt a gentle fragrance rise. She sipped. The entry was citrus sweet and lovely. Were this not inside a dungeon she would have gone ham buying. But since it was, she asked, what is the plan? Running a stall will not finish the main quest. Not necessarily, said Van Han, tossing a whole packet of tea leaves into the glass pot and topping water again and again until the clear green liquor paled. She stirred, set out porcelain cups, and posted a placard, green tea, 2 ghost stars per cup, which made the short-haired girl think, what kind of move is this? She bit her tongue. They were only casual teammates, so she watched. After the setup a customer arrived, water ghost, rank E, ability unknown. Why is this tea so pricey? It asked. Green tea is 2 ghost stars a cup, the strong brew tier is not at this price, Van Han said evenly. The water ghost rolled its eyes. Fine, give me a cup. She poured and it paid, but as soon as the bowl reached its lips, without so much as a sip, it started crowing. What green tea? There is no tea taste in here. And the short-haired girl lowered her eyes. This was a troublemaker. She folded her arms to see how her partner would handle it, slinging dirty water at the stall owner. You deserve death, said Van Han. Lousy bug who deserves death, and you dare be arrogant. The water ghost snarled, turned into a surge, and crashed at her. Used to the routine, Van Han snapped it away with her ruler, then flicked an earrank fire talisman. The water ghost burned to smoke and dropped a wad of ghost stars. Van Han scooped and counted 236 ghost stars, pocketed them and said, you did not help just now, so the spoils are not shared. NK Books. Next time, if you put in work, the split is 7-3, I take 7, you take 3, and the short-haired girl understood at last. The tea stall was a signboard. The true aim was a legitimate pretext to slay ghosts and collect their drops. Around them, most stall owners were E or F. Seeing this they paled, hurriedly packed up, and fled while no one was watching. Chat in the livestream exploded. Law enforcement by fishing. Justified ghost slaying. Never seen it and I am shook. I have seen other streamers do this, but those are big shots who often romp through A-rank dungeons. Doing it as a newbie, she is not afraid of losing her little life. Look close, although E and F are the majority here, now and then a C or even a B passes by. Without real power you will get murdered by some petty, peeved ghost on the slightest pretext. I do not get it. This is clearly a D-rank instance. How does she dare? Inside the game the short-haired girl asked the same thing. Van Han said, the last dungeon taught me a truth, so long as I do not fear them, the ghosts of this weird world can do nothing to me. I love it. The game is especially cathartic this way, and the girl thought, what on earth did you go through before? Birthing a fresh doubt in her mind. The young man with gold-rimmed glasses walked alone through the ghost street market. This place looked just like a bazaar from the real world. Bizarre-looking stallholder ghosts each minding a booth, doing business by old custom, only that now and then words flared into brawls and arms and legs flew everywhere. As he walked he carelessly let a palm-sized wooden comb slip from his pocket onto the ground. His face changed. He snatched it up and hurried off. Not far away a thief ghost chuckled darkly and quickened its pace to tail him. shadowing him down a shortcut. The thief ghost had not yet managed to use its third finger to sweep the target when it saw the other calmly standing there as if waiting for it. The thief ghost sensed danger and turned to flee, but a sky-blotting surge of ghostly miasma crashed over it, and in a blink the ghost was gone. The young man with gold-rimmed glasses smiled, picked up the drops, and tallied the haul. To strike a ghost inside the ghost city and get caught would be a real headache, but if no ghost saw, dead with no witnesses means no aftermath. One clear strategy for clearing an instance is to pick off a thief ghost who toiled all day and take over the work it had earned. Well, a teammate burst from a corner, thrilled. Did we make our money back? The gold-rimmed youth smiled. Quite a bountiful harvest. Good then, the teammate exhaled. Burning ghost miasma costs money. If that thief ghost had no skills and dropped little, we'd be in for a slog. Luckily it had skills. The three split the drops evenly, and the gold-rimmed youth went back out to fish. When he picked a spot, he once again accidentally dropped the D-level ghost miasma wooden comb. Another ghost's eyes lit up, staring greedily at the comb. The youth let slip his wealth, flustered, snatched up the comb, and bolted into a dark alley. Then, after waiting a long while, no ghost came in. Where's the ghost? The teammate, not seeing a target for a long time, couldn't help peeking to ask. The youth frowned, thought a moment, and told them, hold this spot, I'll go take a look. Outside the lane he saw groups of ghosts hurrying, a swarm rushing like a hive toward the east side of the market. Looks like something happened. The three, seeing the hunt off for now, simply went to watch the commotion. Form a line, form a line. Clarity tea, 2 ghost stars a cup, each time you may buy only 1 cup. After purchasing, line up again at the back, and no cutting or you risk your life. Van Hahn greeted while taking money. A short-haired schoolgirl with a blank face helped pour tea into cups, and when handing them over she still had to explain to customers, a light taste is normal, what we sell is green tea. Strong tea isn't part of this instance. The customer took the porcelain cup and gulped heartily, then praised nonstop, good tea, such good tea, this clarity tea is really nice. 2 ghost stars a cup is a steal. Some customers complained, queued so long and we can only buy 1 cup? Can't we get several? Van Hahn smiled, purely handmade. Quantity limited. Once the front finishes buying, those behind will have none left. At that, the many ghosts behind eyed those in front like tigers watching prey, as if they'd pounce and tear them apart. The ghosts who had just drunk tea felt the fiery gazes on their backs, cheeks twitching. They lowered their heads, covered their faces, and ran for it. The next customer rushed up shouting, finally my turn, tossing over ghost stars and urging, hurry and give me tea, as if a second late meant no share. The short-haired girl's hand was steady, not fast nor slow, and she poured a cup. The customer received the porcelain cup and glug drank, then even complained to Van Hahn, shopkeeper, your worker's no good, too stuck up. Hands not nimble enough, short-haired girl, there are too many customers and too much to juggle. New hire, not yet skilled, please bear with us, Van Hahn explained, then instructed the temp, move quicker. Fill the cups fuller. Let folks drink to their heart's content. Hearing this, those in line chorused praise and lauded Van Hahn. Short-haired girl, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? The story starts half an hour earlier. She had seen with her own eyes Van Hahn kill a water ghost and thought setting up a stall was just a banner to bluff. Yet a moment later a pack of ghosts came and forced straight for them. In the ghost market instance players cannot tell item ranks on stalls, but ghosts in the ghost city still can. With a glance the short-haired girl saw the inspectors included 2 D-level ghosts and many E and F level ones. She quietly warned Van Hahn, if it turns ugly, we split and run. It's fine, I can handle it, said Van Hahn and went to parley. I'm wronged. Me, randomly killing a ghost? No way. That water ghost deliberately framed me to smear my stall's reputation. It picked a fight and even tried to eat someone. I merely struck back under duress. The remaining on-scene ghost offered a different round of excuses. It was her. She openly diluted the tea, and when customers called it out she killed to silence witnesses. Van Hahn stated firmly, the water ghost never even drank a sip, yet kept insisting the tea was bad, pure slander. One D-level ghost stepped up. What tea? Give me a cup. Treating it as a normal customer, Van Hahn poured a cup. The D-level ghost took a sip and its face changed, delight, doubt, disbelief. Then another sip, delight again, confusion again, as if discovering something new, and sip by sip the cup was empty. This is a unique secret recipe with marvelous effects. Van Hahn, at the slightest chance, emphasized her monopoly. That water ghost didn't know quality and thought to trash my signboard. Who could tolerate that? The D-level ghost sighed, tea this good, not knowing to savor it. Dying is not undeserved. then it gestured to Van Han. Another cup, ghosts behind, short-haired girl. Aside from the drinker, all were stunned, surrounded by ghosts. Van Han kept doing business at ease. Alright then, tea's coming. The D-level ghost down cup after cup, and only after the fifth did it set the porcelain down in satisfaction. Run your business well. I'll come buy more when free. Its accomplice, convinced the tea was wrong, slammed its cup, flipped the table, and roared, "What tricks did you pull? Why did it feel unwell all over after drinking?" Van Han said, "Because the tea is good, it appreciates it, so it feels great." The tea drinker chimed in, "The tea's fine, tastes wonderful. Why don't you have a cup too? Experience it yourself and you'll see." The more it said so, the more the accomplice suspected a problem and lunged to kill. Quicker than words, a shadow loomed before Van Han, and the diving accomplice plunged straight into the shadow's mouth. The shadow stretched into odd shapes. Clearly the accomplice, swallowed, crashed violently, and onlookers worried it might tear the shadow apart. But as time passed the struggle faded, then went still. The shadow lay quiet by Van Han's feet like a venomous snake ready to strike. Van Han casted a light glance. The tea-drinking ghost's guts quivered. It forced a grin. "Say no more, I understand. It made trouble and deserved it. Ordinary customers who come for tea are treated properly by you." "That's right." Van Han nodded. The tea drinker's smile looked worse than a cry. "Tea this good, I want to bring some home for my family. Please pack 5 portions so I can take them, and I'll promote your place for you." Van Han was troubled. "I only have porcelain cups, not handy for takeaway." "No problem. I have bamboo tubes," it said, producing clean tubes. Van Han filled 5 cups and poured them into a tube. The ghost took the tube, paid, and fled as if greased. Other ghosts either followed after it or else asked boldly, "Is the tea really that good? Try and you'll know." Van Han pointed at her sign, 2 ghost stars a cup, not expensive. A curiosity won and a ghost bought a cup. After watching for a while, everyone realized that so long as you bought tea like a normal customer, the shopkeeper wouldn't do anything to you and just did business as usual. The other ghosts grew bolder. "1 cup for me, I want to try too. A green tea to go, I have my own container." And business exploded. Overwhelmed, Van Han pulled the short-haired girl over to help while she herself kept order. "Line up." One by one, mindful that if the shopkeeper got angry she actually ate ghosts. The customers didn't dare protest and cooperated obediently, the queue before the stall growing ever longer. Later, Van Han set a rule: each round in line you may buy only 1 cup. Want more? Line up again. The point is to let as many customers taste as possible. Since getting dragged into this horror game, the short-haired girl had never seen so many ghosts. Looking at a queue with no end in sight, she whispered, "Is this streamable? If it's inconvenient, I'll turn the stream off first." The words had barely landed when the live stream room exploded. "Host, I urge thee to be kind. Rare to see so many ghosts and you want to end the stream? 37 degrees body temperature, how can you say something so cold? No. No. Forbidden. Host, I want chaos. If you end it, I'll cry right now." A viewer tips 100 ghost stars and also calls on the host, "Keep streaming, I love watching." For every extra 15 minutes, another 100 ghost stars. When viewers tip, they can attach a note to the host, like asking to watch the host explore, or to have the host tail a certain player, or to see the host go big and die. The host receives both the revenue share and the viewer's note, and whether to comply is entirely up to the host's mood. Thus tipping carries danger and small money must be handled with care. The short-haired girl received the tip and didn't care, stubbornly waited for Van Han's reply. "No inconvenience, stream away," said Van Han. The short-haired girl blinked. "But you yourself haven't gone live." "I have special circumstances," Van Han smiled. "You can stream as you like, I don't mind." She did not stream because she had many worries about replication and markings. If she forgot to shut the stream, others might see, whereas anything she could reveal before players in the instance she could also reveal before viewers in the room. Good then, with that settled, the short-haired girl kept pouring, and then simply could not stop. Her expression turned dazed, and a doubt grew in her heart. Did she come to clear an instance or to work a job? The gold-rimmed youth, seeing the scene, was likewise speechless, until at last a teammate asked sincerely, "In a world of weird ghosts, have ghosts never drunk tea? How can this sell for money?" Because business burned so hot and some ghosts even bought tea leaves to take home. Just past noon clarity. Tea had only 5 packets left for self-use, the rest sold out. Sold out, sold out. Next time, someone who had waited long without getting tea was about to erupt when a nearby ghost grabbed them. Go, I'll treat you to tea elsewhere." And a ghost full of resentment was dragged off. Van Han did a quick tidy, then called the short-haired girl. and the two left together. The short-haired girl had been in a fog all day, had a tangled skein, with many things unclear, like clarity tea. She herself had drunk and found nothing special, yet ghosts adored it, some even queued 5 times. Or like this, if clarity tea was so popular, why not submit it directly as an item but instead toil to hawk it for money? Not understanding, she asked, laying her doubts bare. Before Van Hahn could respond, she added, answer if you can, and skip if you can't. Since sincere tippers could communicate, I hadn't planned to make it this big. Facing her questioning eyes, Van Hahn said earnestly, clarity tea is a clearance reward. I didn't know what it was good for, so I thought I'd try selling it. Never expected ghosts to love it this much. Short-haired girl, if you had stored it and submitted it, you might have cleared outright. Not much worse as is, said Van Hahn, unconcerned. If I needed bottled water to brew it, I'd have tried a bit and stopped, and told anyone who asked that the tea was sold out. But there's a kettle here. This kettle can pour endless clean drinking water, which drives the cost down to the floor. I felt the price was fair, so I just sold out all the clarity tea. Look, we netted over 1,000 ghost stars, deduct 100 for stall fees, deduct bottled water costs, deduct labor, net about 8 to 900. Saying this, she passed the short-haired girl 100 ghost stars, here wages and ghost miasma usage fee. In truth, there was also a sample goods cost. The special ghost gear called bottomless water kettle had already been replicated and stowed in a private space. Short-haired girl, today my mother tongue is at a loss for words. Don't tell me you plan to submit 500 ghost stars to cheat a clearance, she reminded on purpose. Someone tried that before, and the paper ghost clerks refused. Van Hahn smiled mysteriously. You'll know tonight. Chapter 7. One day of work in the same month, a monthly salary of 200,000. At dusk, the paper ghost came out to do acceptance. First up was the young man in gold-rimmed glasses. He and his teammates handed in a pile of odds and ends. The total values of the items were respectively 156, 185, and 167. With 2 more days of effort, they had a good chance to clear. Next was a team of 2. A masked player came carrying his temporary teammate, and the next second he handed the temporary teammate over to the paper ghost. The remaining players were stunned and the livestream viewers too. What kind of new idea was this? The gold-rimmed young man and his companion bristled like facing a great enemy, glaring at the submitting player as if ready to strike. I didn't kill him, the submitting player hurried to explain. He violated a ghost taboo and was attacked by a ghost. His heart suddenly stopped and he died. I worked hard to drag his body back. I planned to bury him properly, but then I thought, since the man is dead and only the body is left, better to make use of the waste. The gold-rimmed young man still felt unwell hearing this, yet there is a difference in nature between personally stabbing someone and disrespecting the dead versus making use of waste. So as hostility eased, the paper ghost circled the player's corpse once and concluded, limbs intact, wounds concealed, preservation extremely high, value 550 ghost stars. The livestream gasped. What does that mean? Sacrifice a teammate to pass directly. ISN a sacrifice counted as just the body, and the person wasn't killed by him because he says so. Really, first day watching a horror stream, others may not know, but he truly didn't do it. When the victim died, the room was live and did anger a ghost. Hold on. I saw a ghost market dungeon before where one player was valued at 245 ghost stars. Why is this one so high? Didn't the paper ghost say the preservation was extremely high, so they broke precedent to price it higher? The one I saw earlier was missing the left forearm and half the right thigh, wrecked like a western doll. No wonder the price was low. With bickering in tow, the player who sacrificed his teammate stepped off and was teleported out of the dungeon. Next came the short-haired schoolgirl. She confidently handed in a milk candy and a small pouch of clearmine tea leaves. She had given up part of her labor wage to trade these from Van Hahn. The paper ghost glanced and showed undisguised disdain. 2 ghost stars, the short-haired girl gaped. The chat burst out laughing. Good grief, the ghost's contempt is loud and clear. Hand in before, brimming with confidence, hand in after, below standard. This is my exam experience. Know why it's 2 ghost stars. 1 milk candy equals 1. 1 pouch of clearmine tea equals 1, add to 2. Yes, the game has a base. So confident. Look carefully. What she submitted is not ghost stars but a decoration, a handicraft. At most the material is special. Jaw dropped. This young lady exploits loopholes like a pro. Why can ghost stars be folded into a sailboat? I don't get it. Use real-world paper and you can fold one too. I ascended folding each sheet into components and then assembling the boat. I've seen others do it. This is a living room ornament I made with 510 ghost stars. It signifies auspicious winds. Please appraise it, said Van Hahn. The paper ghost fell silent. If they claimed it violated the rules and refused it, similar art pieces had long existed. Some higher ghost loves this niche and has underlings collect them.
if they said it fit the rules and accepted it, how much should the price be? For a moment the paper ghost was torn, Van Haan's eyes brightened. Just say whether this toy is worth 500 ghost stars. After a bout of fierce inner struggle the paper ghost declared, an exquisite work of art with both viewing value and practical value, worth 666 ghost stars. The short-haired girl snapped her head over, her pupils full of disbelief. I'm dying laughing. Even the ghost admits she's 666 should be 999, because 6 turns. This is a refined artwork, made in one afternoon. Add labor cost. This girl is truly awesome. Think about it. Those ghost G tools and ghost items, humans don't know their true price, and the paper ghost simply names it, but ghost stars are different. This is a craft made from 510 ghost stars. You can't quote below the material cost, at least add some labor, which immediately tied the paper ghost in knots. If it were me, I'd not only skip charging labor but also ruin the materials. The clumsy hands club sobs. Everything proceeded smoothly as planned. Van Haan smiled slightly, her expression unfathomable. To her, it was easy to sell off some milk candies and clear mind. T for ghost stars. Replicated ghost stars flowed out, new ghost stars flowed in, and there were new prototypes to replicate. Subtract the clearing fee, the stall fee, and several days of meal money. She netted roughly 1,400 ghost stars, with one ghost star equal to 150 in cash by exchange rate. That was 210,000, having worked 3 days that month in dungeons. A monthly salary over 200,000. What was not to love, if not for the restriction that Marks only worked inside the dungeon? She could have teleported home right away and achieved the feat. 1 day of work in the same month, monthly salary 200,000. Main quest completed, leave immediately. Van Haan tapped no. She still wanted to mark for talents. Without an attack type talent of at least 10 or more, she never felt at ease. The player chooses to remain in the dungeon. If you change your mind, you may request teleportation at any time. Note: submit a request to the system and you will be teleported in 10 seconds. If you do not proactively request, you will be teleported when the dungeon ends. Congratulations, talent E shadow manipulation has risen to D. Shadow manipulation, talent D. You may command the shadow to attack. Unlimited uses, each day accumulates at most 10 minutes. Time used will be cleared at 24 that day and recalculated the next day. Shadow trait 3, stronger digestion. After devouring the required digestion time is halved. Wanna make a deal with me? The short-haired girl leaned in. What kind of deal? Asked Van Haan. Use 510 ghost stars to make me a sailboat. When it's done I'll pay you 800 ghost stars, and if I refuse, then to clear I have to submit a C-grade ghost tool, the girl said, producing a pair of blood-stained embroidered shoes. Good ghost tools are commonly kept by players for self-defense. Even at high grade they love to hand them in. I chose the Ghost Market dungeon on purpose so I know a bit more than the average player. By day, the market is mostly small fry, hence difficulty D. Wait till night when the true Ghost Market opens and then it can be C, maybe B, even A, the girl elaborated. Once the main quest is complete you can leave any time. Going at night is safer. So that was it. Van Haan agreed. Deal, 800 ghost stars. The boat will be ready tomorrow. Want to go to the night ghost market together? The girl invited. Van Haan was startled. I'm a salted fish player. I won't court death by proactively challenging a high requirement run. The short-haired girl was speechless. Do you hear yourself? What kind of salted fish grinds like this? I am a salted fish player indeed, Van Haan said firmly. Finish everything on day 1, then lie flat on day 2 and day 3. What's the problem? Doing nothing and lying flat is not salted fish but asking for death. The short-haired girl turned away, afraid she would punch someone if she kept looking. Settled then, I'll go to the ghost market myself. You prepare the clearance item properly. That night, the paper ghost arranged a shared bunk room for the players to rest. There were 8 beds matching the 8 players, since it was first come first served. Van Haan picked a bed by the wall away from the door. The short-haired girl chose the bed near her. The gold-rimmed young man and his teen chose 3 adjacent beds opposite. That night the 3 occasionally whispered and slept late. At dawn, as soon as Van Haan opened her eyes, the system prompt appeared. Do you proceed with the 5th mark? Yes, she said. Mark successful. Congratulations, you receive a bag of milk candies. Congratulations, you receive a box of clear mind tea. Congratulations, you receive talent S. Concealment. Talent S cannot be upgraded. You may hide deep within the shadows and anything below SS grade cannot detect you. Unlimited uses, each day accumulates at most 60 minutes. Time used will be cleared at 24 that day and recalculated the next. It was a decent talent but with an overly long duration, sadly not the attack type she wanted, so Van Haan felt a touch of regret. The next day the market was livelier than the first, with money earned and the main quest cleared. Van Haan did not set up her stall but called the short-haired girl to stroll the market. After a while she grew Doubtful, am I imagining it? Why do I feel every ghost we pass is staring at me? The gazes were so hot she wanted to turn and run, the short-haired girl said. Not your imagination, they are staring. As she spoke, a group of ghosts rushed up and peppered Van Han. It was you, right? The stall owner who sold Clear Mine tea yesterday. Your tea works great. I brought a cup to my boss and he gave me a raise on the spot. I brewed tea for my wife and after drinking she said she loves me. Boo-hoo. Who understands? I'm so moved, pal. Got any more green tea that enchants ghost hearts? I want a pot. Van Han's face went black. Enchants ghost hearts? What kind of description is that? I'm a respectable person selling respectable good tea. Beside her the ring of ghosts grew even more fervent. Boss, why didn't you set up shop yesterday afternoon? I waited ages. If you sold out yesterday then sell again today. I brought enough ghost stars and will make you happy. I'm telling you now, if you don't sell to me today I'll hug your leg and never leave. Van, today I don't want to work on. Run. Before she finished the word she bolted, fast as the wind. Ghosts immediately gave chase. Others stayed to eye the short-haired girl. I don't know her. She waved frantically. I followed her only to beg for some tea leaves. Tea that good, who wouldn't want it? The ghosts understood and let her go, then chased as well, watching dozens of ghosts tailing her. The short-haired girl sighed under her breath. What karma? Van Han turned left and right, and the ghosts behind not only failed to drop off but multiplied. Stalls paused business, the street ceased strolling, and everyone spontaneously joined the recreational event chasing Van Han. Seeing the pursuit swelling and disrupting order, Van Han slipped into a dark alley and merged with the shadow. Concealment, talent S, cannot be upgraded. You may hide deep in shadow, anything below SS cannot detect you. Where'd she go? Must have hopped a wall. Chase, why run at all? Better to sit and trade. Fewer ghosts crowd you that way. The voices receded, and after a while the alley was calm again. Waiting a long moment and confirming there was no other being in the alley, Van Han eased out and muttered, that was close. Elsewhere, at the spot where Van Han had used her stall yesterday, layers of ghosts 3 deep inside and out jammed the area. Patience ran thin. One ghost grabbed the throat of the ghost stall owner and pressed. What's your relationship with the tea-selling boss from yesterday? Do you know her? The stall owner ghost nearly cried. I just saw the traffic here was great and tried to ride the flow. The stall owner was in fact a D-grade ghost. Ordinarily by day it could roam the ghost market, but now the ghosts had no martial virtue. Surrounding it were E-grades and D-grades in number. One ghost alone could not win, while cursing inside it. Heard the crowd shout, B-grade is coming, run. Its neck had just been released when it saw the B-grade set sights squarely on it. In a blink the stall owner ghost, overwhelmed with fright, blacked out, thus accidentally dodging yet another round of questioning. The night before, the Golden Rim Glasses trio had planned to hit the instance market hard the next day, but the whole bazaar turned into a circus. Lots of ruckus, hardly any decent ghost vendors making real trades. The young man thought he could fall back on the old trick of dangling bait to fish for orders, yet no one paid him the slightest heed. Half a day went by without a single small order. Now and then a dozen to 20 ghosts slid past his elbow and still the number they could provoke was negligible. The 3 queued shoulder to shoulder from daylight until the sun sank westward and never caught a chance to make a move, so a teammate sighed that maybe they should just go scavenging. In the afternoon they returned to the bunks and found the chief culprit napping in the room, blissfully ignoring however wild things got outside. Anger rose from their chests to their gall and they meant to teach someone a proper lesson about instances require discipline. Be careful, do not drag others down. But the moment their eyes met, Van Han drew a crisply folded piece of paper art from her pouch and asked if they wanted a swan folded from 300 ghost stars. The trio fell silent, thought it through, and realized the player had done nothing wrong. The ghost market was simply outrageous and naive to boot, so, at 300 ghost stars per swan, each of the 3 paid 350 ghost stars and took one. Thanks to that, the golden-rimmed fellow and his partners cleared the stage worry-free, while Van Han sent out replicated ghost stars and, as new ghost stars came in, replicated again. So everyone saw a bright future ahead. At dusk the paperman courier arrived on time. The short-haired girl handed in the paper sailboat and cleared the instance smoothly. The Glasses trio submitted their flock of swans with a few trifles on top and likewise completed the full option task. And once across they did not linger. After heartfelt thanks to Van Han they teleported away. The short-haired girl asked why they had neither joined the night market nor mentioned leaving early nor gone out for a stroll but only waited in the room, and Van Han flopped onto a bed, blissful, saying being a salted fish player was heaven. No classes, no exams, no homework. She loved this place. The girl laughed and said the room is yours, sleep on whichever bed you like. If that is not enough, switch beds every hour. Then while packing to head out she warned, lock the door tight, whatever knocks, do not open. Since the instance had no other players left,
she would not return tonight. This run, succeed or fail, she would be teleported straight out. Just before stepping out she turned back. I'm Taon, hope we meet again. Night thick as ink. Taon threw on a special C-grade cloak to mask the breath of the living and moved down the street. The night market differed wildly from daytime, C-grade ghosts everywhere with an occasional bee or a mixed in. She hurried, turned into a shabby funerary shop, and said she wanted a C-grade voodoo baby that blocks ear poison in one's stead. Her voice came out as a clean, youthful tenor. The old crone ghost who owned the shop tapped the counter through a foggy veil and lazily asked what girl could know she stocked such a charm. Taon said she not only knew that but also that the crone liked ghost stars, and she offered 1,500 at one go. The old crone praised the fair price, guessing a regular had sent her, but alas she was about to trade the charm for something else and had to refuse. Taon tensed and asked what else she wanted. The crone sighed that she used to think ghost stars were the best until discovering there exists a thing tastier still. She did not know which road it came from, only that the flavor was so fragrant that, after tasting it once, she lay awake ever since, pining. Sugar? Taon started, drew a piece from her pocket, and tried. Like this, the crone snatched the milk candy lightning quick, popped it in, and mumbled in delight that this was it. And how did the girl have any? Taon said she had been conscripted to help with a shipment and kept some as pay. Starlight flashed in the crone's eyes as she asked whose shop and whether they were still hiring. Taon said the crowd had made such a ruckus the owner fled, but she still had a little stock left. The crone bloomed into a smile and said if a regular had sent her, the voodoo baby would be reserved. Taon rejoiced and handed over 1,500 ghost stars, along with 3 milk candies and 4 packets of clear mind tea she had squirreled away from laboring. The crone accepted with a counterfeit grin and produced the C-grade anti-poison doll, and with goods in hand Taon thrilled. Done. At first light on the 3rd day, proceed with the 6th check-in. Van Han, yes, check-in successful. Newbie fortune added, check-in items multiplied. Congratulations, you obtained 4 packets of milk candy. Congratulations, you obtained 4 boxes of clear mind tea. Congratulations, you obtained S-grade talent. Disguise, S-grade talent, cannot be leveled. Others using investigation talents below SS can only see the talent info you have disguised. Please input specific disguise details. A superb talent, worth the loitering until the 3rd day. Van Han set her disguise talent to shadow handling, D-grade, so her composite strength read as D-grade, and she left satisfied. Congratulations on clearing a D-grade instance. Your composite strength is currently rated B-grade. Your excellent performance earns ghost stars times 200. Van Han stacked the 4 packets of milk candy, 4 boxes of clear mind tea, and the 200 ghost stars together and replicated them. Replication successful. Congratulations, you triggered 5 critical bursts. Congratulations, the replication talent rose from B grade to A grade. Replication. A grade talent may continue to level up. Per day you may replicate 5 times, with a heightened chance to produce 2 to 5-fold critical bursts. Use charges reset to 0 at 24 o'clock and refresh the next day. Life looked good to Van Han. Each month she would enter a competitive instance and, each time, net a few thousand ghost stars and a bundle of ghost cheap money and leisure, joy enough to fly. But heaven seemed unwilling to watch her idle. For the Horror Academy sent another letter urging her to register on time. Van Han did not want to go. Called to ask whether she might decline the Academy's kindness and skip registration. The voice on the line grew unusually grave. At the age of 18 and still not graduated, survival rates in the horror game are exceptionally low. Please take this seriously. She felt he sounded responsible, but she truly did not need it. She asked if she could shoulder all consequences herself and not go. No. If a freshman fails to register on time, the Academy will dispatch specialists to escort them in. So it turned out to be compulsory, nothing to be done. In mid-July, Van Han packed light and set off for City S where the Horror Academy stands. It was clearly still vacation, yet after assigning her a private dorm room the Academy scheduled a surprise test the very next day. Question 1. In an E-grade instance a ghost says you did something wrong and wants to eat you. What do you do? Van Han blinked, then wrote, pick bones out of its egg, flip the blame back, then eat it. Question 2. If a ghost says give it an arm and it will spare you, what do you do? She answered, if the ghost is high rank, move it with sincerity by presenting gifts. If it is low rank, eat it, and so on through every kind of oddball question until dusk. When she handed in the paper and went to the refectory, Trey barely said when a delighted shout rang out, someone who knew her here? It was Duong Tiham from the convenience store instance in her newbie days. They chatted. Tiham said she later got dragged into a D-grade run and barely escaped with her life, then sighed that once you were roped into the horror game you were bound for life. Dragged in every month without escape, only able to thrash about before death arrives. then she was called at the window and dashed off for food, returning to eat and gossip that today was testing, tomorrow results, the day after placement. Van Han asked, was it not still summer break?
T-Ham explained that other schools yes, not the Horror Academy, once.
30 days accrue, the game pulls players in, so the school can only summon them early to cram survival knowledge and raise cohort rates. Their batch was late because the post-exam holiday made a 3-day disappearance hard to spot, whereas during term it would be caught at once. Back from the Yuri world, a week is enough to transfer schools. Rumors said the academy churned through faces fast, within 3 months a whole new set, with few lasting to graduation. Van Han thought it none of her
business. She had majored in ditching classes for 20 years.
Next day more than 100 new students were mustered onto the athletic field for the entrance trials. They stood baffled, whispering, wasn't freshman intake just a written test, why more trials, and why the track instead of classrooms? Thanks for the reminder, now I'm panicking. I have a very bad feeling. Then the dean of students mounted the rostrum and announced that since the academy's founding faculty had tried many teaching philosophies to raise survival, yet results were meager, so this June they had listened broadly to student feedback and reformed the curriculum in hopes of better outcomes. The newbies stared, and before doubt could ripen, he solemnly declared the second live combat assessment begun. Each of them must 100% reenact the strategy they wrote yesterday. Jaws dropped. One groaned that his answer to clearing an E-grade instance was to beat the boss to death. So what now? Drown it in spit. Another fretted that, because she had no idea, she had written use love to move it, and another confessed she had written, if a silver-tongued ghost shows up, kick it hard, then hug its thigh and beg it to spare me. And how, pray, was she to reenact that with perfect fidelity? Someone asked how it would be graded, and the dean said he had invited upperclassmen to simulate each prompt. Whether their tactics worked would be judged by those seniors. If you stayed alive through them, you got full credit. The newbies fell silent, realizing they were about to be shredded. A grand parachute-ripping event drenched in blood and tears. If you understand, begin, said the dean, and many froze like logs, eyes vacant, faces steeped in despair. Van Han took her paper to the first station, manned by a logic major wearing glasses and seeming scholarly. He read question 1 and said the meek-looking junior had written a gutsy answer. Van Han asked calmly how the simulation worked, and at once the senior turned into a blue-faced, fang-gnashing fiend who roared that she had stepped into the first testing room with her right foot first and so he would eat her. He shrieked, hideous, and Van Han, seeing the senseless provocation, became even more unreasonable. Senior, you hurt my eyes. Then she loosed her shadow, which pounced. 10 razor fingertips tore the shadow into bloom, and it split, one half into a black rope that cinched the green face tight, the other into a wide mouth that chomped down. Not far off, Van Han crept in with a ruler in hand. The senior barked halt, but Van Han refused. She had to reenact it 100%, and until the swallow was complete it did not count. The blue-faced ghost heaved with ox-like strength and snapped the black rope, then, scowling, lectured that with D-grade strength she indeed could reverse kill in an E-grade instance, and he declared full marks for question 1. The severed rope gathered again, a touch listless. Van Han eyed the rope in the face and asked what ranked the senior's composite. Strength was steady B-grade, he said, returning to his scholarly look. Could he become a ghost thanks to a personal talent? She asked. Exactly, he said, then stamped 5 points in D-grade beside question 1, grumbling that she should move on and stop causing trouble. Yes, going now, said Van Han, thinking this academy truly hid dragons and crouching tigers, if even a random senior was this formidable. Chapter 9. This is talent, this is what counts. Second question, if a ghost says that as long as you give it one arm it will not kill you, what will you do? Van Han answers, if the ghost is very high rank, use sincerity, offer a gift to move it. If it is low rank, eat it. The practical test site is at the logic school. He is too lazy to shuttle back and forth and simply keeps watch in ghost form. Use sincerity to move it. The senior looks oddly at Van Han. I do want to see how sincere you can be. Very, very sincere, Van Han says as she fishes a milk candy from her purse. Senior, please have some candy. Before taking the candy, the senior sneers inwardly. Am I the sort of person who can be moved by a single candy? After eating the candy, the senior falls into thought, his expression suddenly doubting life itself. Maybe I am. Eat a candy, drink a cup of tea, and everyone becomes friends. Van Han casually brews a cup of clear heart tea and hands it over. The senior lifts the cup and sips. His face turns peaceful at once. Fighting, scheming, those vulgar desires evaporate. I feel your sincerity, the senior says. Then with a pop stamps down a 5 points mark. Van Han waves amicably to take her leave and heads for the next testing spot. This tea is truly nice. The senior hugs the cup, reluctant to put it down. With shadow screen as guard and milk candies paving the way, Van Han moves smoothly and collects a trove of 5 points. When she reaches the last testing room, a senior sister studies her and says earnestly, "You are good, resourceful, and you have squeezed every resource perched atop your head to the limit, smack smack, but your innate gift will cap your growth, smack smack. This time you will get a perfect score, but only because this is an entrance assessment and the academy eased the difficulty. Once others learn to control their powers well, will you still earn full marks?" Smack smack, the senior sister's A rank. Contract ghosting, finishes the candy and gazes at Van Han with fawning warmth, as if eager to embarrass its master and eat from another trough. "Get back here," the senior sister snaps. Ghosting resists hard, arms and legs working together, intent on following the outsider. After much effort the senior sister reins it in and makes it halt. "If you can keep finding the milk candies," ghosts like, "and if luck is with you so you happen to obtain a contract scroll and successfully contract a ghost of B rank or above, perhaps you can break the ceiling of your talent and boost your overall strength broadly," she says. Van Han smiles. "Thank you for the guidance." If she truly possessed the D rank shadow manipulation talent, these words would chart a course and save many detours, but she does not. She merely lacks enough mark counts, and her technology tree is not yet lit. When later her marks reach 10 plus and an A rank talent is unlocked, whether she contracts a ghost or not will not matter so much. If your contract ghost likes them, take these to eat. Van Han grabs a handful of milk candies and sets them on the table. "How could I possibly accept?" The senior sister has not finished being polite when ghosting pounces and chews away, even biting off a flap of candy wrapper. The senior sister grits her teeth. "Do I usually starve you and refuse to feed you?" Ghosting chomps happily, looking like it has not eaten for a long minute, as the senior sister hurriedly scolds her ghost. Van Han says nothing and slips away. The practical exam ends. The freshmen are scattered and sorted into 3 classes. The most numerous and poorest performers go to Class C. They often fail to judge their own abilities, and when faced with tough situations cannot think up proper countermeasures. Once they enter an instance, the death rate is extremely high. Some are assigned to Class B. They act cautiously but lack experience and do not know how to use their powers. If they enter an instance they have a fair chance to survive and leave, but usually cannot earn strong evaluations. Only a small number of outstanding students go to Class A. They either have great potential or know how to leverage their powers. In short, at this stage they can cope well. Van Han, with full marks, naturally enters Class A. Among a pack of A-rank prodigies she seems like a lone husky mixed into a wolf swarm. Do not lose heart over a momentary failure. The Dean of Students speaks again. Remember, success for the moment is not victory. The one who smiles at the end smiles best. After sorting, every month at the end there is an assessment. Next month the first results will resort the classes. You still have a chance to prove yourselves. He then announces course content. From tomorrow, Class C begins common foundational courses. Classes B and A will run instance simulations. I hope you all adapt quickly. Instance simulations, a Class B student blurts in fright, wondering if they must live on edge inside the academy just like in the horror game. A teacher happens to hear and turns back, voice low and chilling. The dean is announcing rules and you dare to interrupt. Do you no longer want your arm? The student, speechless. The teacher resumes a gentle tone. Yes, that kind of simulation. We provide an environment similar to an instance so you can adapt and get used to the game's rhythm quickly. The Class B students collectively think this is terrifying. Mother, I want to go home. After the test the cafeteria is unusually lively. Freshly ravaged freshmen chatter like they have been injected with chicken blood about everything that just happened. In my head I would be bold and brilliant, strings of operations piling up, but in reality my mind froze and I stood there like a log. Someone sighs. Do not even mention it. The senior asked why my left foot stepped in first. I could not answer and that question kept replaying. Why left first? Why left? On written tests I still have time to think, but during live combat face to face I open mouth and nonsense mode came out. I still cannot figure out why I said that. Who was more miserable than me? The senior sister's contract ghost shouted once and my legs shook. The next second my body lunged on its own to hug her thigh and beg for mercy. I did not even grab hold before she kicked me flying. She even said she only meant to casually eat one leg, and now she is not considering letting me leave alive. At this everyone heaves long sighs. Why is live combat so hard? I have cleared instances in the real game and was never that despairing. Someone objects. At least seniors are human and retain some humanity. Instance ghosts, when they turn feral, are truly merciless. They do not reason, they see you and they want to eat. Another consoles. Do not feel ashamed for standing still like a log. That is the freeze response. When humans meet fear, shock, or sudden adverse stimuli, They instinctively halt in place as if frozen. Suddenly the real game instances feel easier. One person mutters, "Meet a master and get carried. Live obediently for 3 days and you are released. That is just your luck." Another says, "I know I am weak, but the true difficulty the seniors displayed in the simulations were almost the same, too real." I heard this batch has a ruthless one who awakened a double S combat talent at the very start, fought straight through from the first question, and because the methods were too forceful and the attitude too arrogant, the hot-blooded seniors kept beating until the face was covered in bruises before stopping. Everyone gasps that this is awesome. At first I thought the testing seniors were students who had not graduated, but later I learned they had all graduated and chose to stay on as teaching assistants. They say freshmen need a year to graduate. Most assistants have at least 1 year of game experience, some 2 or 3 years, to match. Them is truly fearsome for a double S freshman, they marvel. This is talent, this is a gift, the newsy classmate laments. Back then I was an academic ace. When the teacher taught new knowledge others struggled to grasp, I understood in one hearing. Where others crammed for 1 or 2 hours, I saw once and never forgot, read once and I could memorize. Alas, I only have study talent, not combat. So now I can only be background air while others shine. Is that not everyone? Another sighs. Back in school my academics were excellent, but I was not good at sports. Who would have thought that now at the new academy if you cannot run fast you lose your life? By the end their eyes are wet, wanting to cry but cannot. Elsewhere, Duong Tiham finishes getting her meal, sits across from Van Han, and asks, "How did you do in the practical? Which class?" "Perfect score, Class A," Van Han says. Clack, Duong Tiham is so shocked her chopsticks slip and hit the table. "That's strong, just lucky," Van Han demurs. "The seniors were easy to talk to and did not really make things hard for me." Duong Tiham, "What easy, each fiercer than the last. I am in Class C," she confesses. "My family gave me quite a few ghost artifacts for protection, but my mindset is poor and I panic easily. The senior said I could be slotted into Class B, but recommended I start over in Class C. I found that reasonable and agreed. I may have some resources, but you cannot afford to lose a whole family's stake on a single instance. Honestly, compared to when you first met me in the newbie instance always clinging to other girls, you have grown a lot," Van Han says. "Not enough. I want to become a veteran who can shoulder a side alone," Duong Tiham says solemnly. "After the newbie instance my brother told me this. In a horror game, no matter how many times a player succeeds, a single mistake can bring irreparable consequences. I refused to make that mistake. I refused to be a loser, did not expect your ambition to be so large." Then, salted fish, Han muses, "If so many seniors can do it, there is no reason I cannot." Duong Tiham clenches her fists and cheers herself on. "March bravely, fear no hardship." Van Han's eyes brim with approval, truly youthful, spirited, full of dreams, unwilling to lose, and she starts planning to lie down for a bit after eating. One busy day has worn her out. That night the vast majority of freshmen sleep poorly. Rumor has it someone shouted in there. "Sleep, I am sorry, I was wrong, I should not have led with my left foot." The dorms are single rooms so normally it would not bother others, but some like to sleep with windows open. The ruckus makes several neighbors sit bolt upright like corpses rising. When they realize they are in the horror academy and not inside an instance they flop back to sleep. At dawn a few people with panda eyes wash up while asking who the heck wailed past midnight and ruined everyone's dreams. After yesterday's test many performed abnormally and were shaken, so they drifted in and out of sleep and cannot swear the crying was not their own. Hearing the question, the guilty heels shuffle away. The midnight cry incident has no resolution. From today on, though, everyone checks their windows before bed and sleeps only with them shut tight. If anything happens, start by finding the person who left theirs open. Van Han's window is shut, so she sleeps soundly. On the way to class next morning, a male student greets her, "New in Class A, shall we get acquainted?" "Van Han," she says. "Jiang Van," he replies. After exchanging names he says, "That makes 4 for Class A. Who are the other 2? Van Han asks. "Lam Yuyan," says a slim male. "Chu Boy," says a plainly dressed girl whose face looks impassive. Though how could a person who entered Class A not be good at investigation? No nonsense. Jiang Van moves the topic along. "According to the intel I dug up, Class B's simulation theme is, 'My classmate is a ghost.' Among freshmen who do not know each other, advanced students mix in posing as ghosts to lure the normal freshmen into taboos. Class A's theme is, 'All my students are ghosts.' Hear the difference." Jiang Van looks at his 3 soon-to-be comrades, face grave. "We must act as teachers and lecture a class of ghosts whose ranks span laterally from B to A to S." Lam Yuyan is not cowed. Instead his eyes spark with excitement as if impatient to try. By last year's practice, Day 1 delivers a show of force to the talented freshman, Chu Boy adds, meaning that no matter how good your talent is, you can still stumble in an instance. Before they can discuss further, a senior pushes the door. "All here."
then come in. Inside sit 9 students, the seats arranged in a 3x3 grid. On each desk lies a placard, such as Savage-Faced Ghost or Contract Hanged Ghost, serving as little reminders. After leading them in, the senior smiles and announces, 10 minutes for discussion. The simulation theme is all my students are ghosts. The condition to pass is to serve as teacher and finish a lesson of 20 minutes in safety. Jiang Van glances around, grasps the situation quickly, and murmurs, 9 students, for our contract ghosts, for have special talents and can turn into ghosts. The one in the middle is a Taoist priest, likely a special profession, essentially still human. We can try to ask for help and make use of him. I need to observe and gather as much information as possible. I will not go on stage in the opening phase. Who goes first? Me. Lam Yuyan volunteers. The 2 girls have no objection, so the first period officially begins. The seniors take their seats. Those with contracts release their creatures to sit by their side. Those with talents transform into ghosts. The Taoist in the middle does not change, remains human in appearance, and even yawns lazily. Class or not, believe it or not, I'll hoist you into a sack after the bell. Lin Yuyan's clear the stage method was simple and rough. First period, combat practice, pair up 1-on-1, whoever beats me counts as the winner. Someone shouted, Teacher, do winners get any prize? Meat, we'll give meat. The room erupted, the pack spirits stared, drooling, and for a heartbeat Lin Yuyan felt like he really had stepped into a game dungeon. He steadied himself and agreed handsomely, fine, if you can beat me, I'll let you do as you please, his words brimming with ironclad confidence. Zhang Van blinked. If he's that sure of himself, what's he doing in Class A? Toss him to Class C for re-education. While Van Han was equally puzzled. Who really makes students study on day 1? First period is usually games, self-intros, getting to know each other, and Chu Boy's eyes lit up with an idea. Off to the side, Lin Yuyan invoked his gift and swelled into a towering 3-eyed demon king, a vertical eye splitting his brow, and thundered, SS rank, 3-eyed demon king, who dares challenge? His bulk grew, his voice boomed like lightning, the timid nearly split their livers and their fighting spirit shattered. Why do I feel like even his voice is a sonic attack? Chu Boy muttered, and Zhang Van nodded, right, like some folks born afraid of thunder who panic whenever they hear it. Van Han added, animals roar to drive foes away. I once saw a piece about a zoo letting visitors pose with a lion. One shot from the keeper and the visitors bolted, even knowing it was human-raised and had never hurt anyone. Hearing a roar up close still makes you bolt. As they chatted, a senior girl raised her hand. Teacher, I want to try. The 2 faced off and Lin Yuyan even gave the lady first strike, plainly brimming with faith in his gift. Thank you, teacher. She smiled sweetly and in the next beat bound him, opened a black maw, and pitched him in. The trio of Van Han stared, and the senior explained, I exiled him to a pocket dimension. The time ratio there runs about 3 times faster than here, which left the trio speechless, because he's bound he can't cancel his gift state. When today's transform duration runs out, I'll pull him back, if his gift can last 120 minutes, that is, 30 minutes times 4 speed, then maybe my plan fails. Zhang Van shivered, hearing the cutest face speak the cruelest words. 15 minutes later Lin Yuyan snapped back to human and was brought to class. The senior regretfully announced, his transform lasts only 60 minutes. You didn't make the cut. The pack spirits whooped, meat, more meat, and Lin Yuyan went pale. The senior announced, first challenger failed, second prepare. Had he not lost, no penalty however harsh could touch him. But he had lost, unwilling as he was. He knew that without his gift he could do nothing and could only retreat for now. I'm second, said Chu Boy, and Van Han and Zhang Van agreed. First day, no lesson, we'll play a game. You hide, I seek, time limit 20 minutes, area this classroom. Before the bell I'll catch all of you. A student raised a hand and needled. If you can't catch us all then what? Then the teacher is too lame. Chu Boy shot back. After class I'll reflect and write a self-critique. The room howled, no reports. If you can't catch us you get punished. Meat, cornered. Chu Boy sighed and accepted. Fine, if I can't catch you all I'll treat the best hider to meat. Lin Yuyan started, suddenly realizing she had framed the forfeit from the outset. Treat to meat without saying whose meat, so whether the caught are spirits or not doesn't matter. How much meat also flexes wide, from an arm to a leg to a slab of belly fat. The wiggle room here was huge and far more reliable than do as you please. One mustn't be wasteful, even with an SS rank gift. Once burned, twice wise. He carved into memory that SS rank is not omnipotent, only the living have a future. Before he knew it Chu Boy already held a jet black chain. Game on. The students bad at hiding were nabbed quickly. The senior who had banished Lin Yuyan opened a black gate and jumped in to hide, only to have the chain lash her from behind and yank her back before the gate closed. A rank special profession. Infernal bailiff, murmured Zhang Van, 5 minutes later, feeling
She had netted enough. Chuboy tallied and froze. Why is one missing? The students grinned oddly. Only all caught counts as a win, miss one and you lose. Can't catch us, can't catch us. Chuboy stood there, at a loss. Van Han's eyes narrowed, stabbed by a skill and stealth. S rank gift cannot be upgraded. You can merge into the depths of shadow, and anything below SS rank cannot detect you. The target hid in the floor's shadow and kept shifting. No wonder she couldn't bag them. After about 3 minutes of stalemate, she sighed. I concede. And from under a desk's shadow someone popped up. Teacher, you lost, you lost, you lost. The pack spirits crowed, eyeing her hungrily and painting a ghastly scene. I lost, she said evenly, then flicked her chain to bind a B-rank pack spirit and hauled it before the winner. Here, teacher treats you to meat. The spirit gaped, forgetting to resist. Its master was speechless, so noble, so ruthless. You're making my spirit feed another student. The senior blinked, then laughed. Indeed, she said, treat to meat, not whose meat. Hidden rule 1, teachers may not harm students without cause, but a pack spirit is not a student, at most a student's pet. Even in losing you dodged the penalty. Beautifully done, the senior praised without stint. If you play, prep 2 plans. Before you play, prepare a retreat, Chuboy replied.
Lin Yuyan fell into long thought, as if a new world's door were opening
to him. Second challenger failed, third step up. Zhang Van deadpanned. These people are impossible. He had claimed his Taoist identity was dubious, but they could try asking for aid. Yet Lin Yuyan and Chuboy took turns acting and no one listened. After half a day's watch he still had no idea what role the Taoist was meant to play. Right then Van Han asked politely, you first or me? Me, said Zhang Van, refusing to wait, and he moved. No lesson, game time. Drum past the flower, I turn away and drum by tapping the desk. You pass the flower. When I stop, passing stops. Whoever holds the flower self-introduces and gets a candy. Chuboy suddenly realized that for safety the teacher should host the game, not join it. To spur participation, Zhang Van handed each of 9 students a candy to taste. Ghost Bro spotted sugar and lunged, even eating the wrapper, chomped, found the taste off, and, furious, clamped his teeth on Zhang Van's forearm and would not let go. A senior staggered, and Zhang Van became the only freshman to clear the stage with honor yet also be wounded. He fell silent. After all that careful scheming he took the hit, and the bold maneuvers he'd feared never even happened. Wrong, no biting. The senior rushed to restrain Ghost Bro and awkwardly invoked Hidden Rule 2. If the teacher doesn't violate taboos, students may not attack without cause. Then added, embarrassed, he's ill, badly. Sees candy, he chomps. If the chew doesn't please, he bites people. He wasn't like this before, but after yesterday's live combat drill he picked up the bad habit. The corner of Zhang Van's mouth twitched. So it's my fault for bringing candy, for triggering his episode. Junior, your strategy was actually correct. Congrats on passing. The senior held Ghost Bro down, clapped briskly, and used the corner of her eye to cast a plaintive look at Van Han, as if to pin this on her.
Zhang Van
had no words, the only one to pass and still get hurt, and he couldn't even feel happy. At last it was Van Han's turn. First meeting, let's play you ask, I answer. Rules are simple. I pose questions, everyone raises a hand to answer. Whoever gets the most right earns 1 milk candy, the others who participate each earn 1 star. Gather 10 stars and you can exchange for candy. She seemingly conjured a teapot and sachets, poured each classmate a cup of green tea. Drink first, cool your throat. Zhang Van sweated. She's even handing out candy, not afraid of getting bitten. But to be fair, her nerve is impressive. Shortly, 9 warm cups sat on desk corners, tea fragrance rising. Some students sipped, others stayed nonchalant and didn't even look. Van Han unwrapped a milk candy, waited for its sweet scent to fill the air, then held it aloft. First question, what are Fierce-Face Ghost's strengths and weaknesses? If you know, hands up. The trio around Lin Yuyan froze. The seniors went speechless. Shamelessly clever. The 9 students pressed their lips and stayed silent. Just then Hanging Neck Ghost flailed a hand wildly. Van Han smiled. Good, you first. So-called Hanging Neck Ghost is exactly that. Tongue lolling, speech awkward, yet nothing could block its resolve to answer. It extruded each word, slow and sticky. He's good at close combat. His weakness is bugs, unclear but comprehensible.
Fierce-Face Ghost fumed. Must you say that out loud? Any additions, Van Han
glanced around. No one spoke. Seems complete enough. She ruled and handed the milk candy over, and Hanging Neck popped it in, crunching. Glug. The other 3 pack spirits looked on with envy, licking their lips, and even the 4 seniors who had used gifts to take ghostly form swallowed saliva. Second question, what are Knife Cell Ghost's strengths and weaknesses? If you know, please answer. No one spoke, not even Hanging Neck. The others said nothing because they didn't want to, but Hanging Neck truly didn't know. It scratched its head and nudged its master for an answer, and the master waved it off. Don't drag me into grudges. At that moment Van Han added, a wrong answer is fine, there's no punishment, and hanging neck had a flash, make something up. If no one corrects it and the other side doesn't know, maybe the candy still comes to me. So it shot up a hand and blurted, he has no strengths, he fears water. Knife Cell Senior's face darkened, believe it or not, when class ends I'm stuffing you in a sack. Ghosting stared longingly at the milk candy. She couldn't speak, only let out short sounds. Unwilling, she clawed at her master's finger, glancing from her to the candy again and again. Her intention was crystal clear. You're not asking me to answer the question, are you? The silly senior sister asked. Ghosting pressed closer, acting spoiled. She just wanted candy. Who could resist that? The senior raised her hand. Blade Ghost, Class B, can spit toxic gas and liquid. Weakness, poor at close combat. The Blade Ghost Senior was shocked. You sold me out for a piece of candy. She didn't care. Candy in hand, she fed Ghosting, who happily rubbed against her. Your contracted creature's affection for you +10. The senior froze. Ghosting hadn't signed the contract willingly but had been seriously injured and picked up by her, forced to accept her as master. Because of that, affection started at 30. She often feigned deafness and dumbness, ignoring orders. Affection points rose and fell +1, -2, swinging constantly. But today, for candy, affection jumped 10 points at once, shaking the senior's heart. Then Van Han asked for the third time, what are Ghosting's strengths and weaknesses? The senior hesitated, but the Blade Ghost cut in. Class A, spatial type, great potential, but its mother was injured during birth, leaving it permanently damaged too. He spoke while throwing a taunting glance. Come on, let's hurt each other. The senior thought bitterly, if she'd known, she wouldn't have hesitated, letting others grab the credit. Correct answer, said Van Han, who, judging by the expressions of the ghosts and their masters, knew it was right and readily granted the reward. The Blade Ghost unwrapped the candy lazily, tossed it in his mouth, and then froze in place. Several rounds of questioning followed, tension thick as gunpowder. To win a candy, the teaching assistants exposed one another's weaknesses without reservation. Suddenly, Van Han turned to the Taoist at the center, frowning. Everyone else drank tea, why haven't you taken a sip? The contracted ghosts, loving drama, shouted, why didn't you drink? Why not? Why? The pressure built, forcing the Taoist to take a sip. After drinking, he realized this wasn't a dungeon but a simulation. Nausea hit, and he vomited all over the floor. Everyone, on the first day of the teaching reform, the education director stood outside Class A, peeking in. The freshmen seemed fine, but the assistants looked battered. The director was puzzled. I sent you to train them, not for them to train you. Between the candy snatching and the vomiting Taoist, the scene was a mess. The director rushed in, stopped the simulation, called the medics, sent the Taoist for treatment, and took the leftover tea for testing. Results showed nothing wrong. Then why did he vomit? He asked. Senior Trunad Ghost Ying's master explained, when he was a newbie, a ghost forced him to eat something unknown. It left a psychological scar. In a dungeon, he'd suppress it, but in the real world, nausea couldn't be helped. The director fell silent, then asked, you're sure the tea has no addictive substances? The medic confirmed, even drank it himself. Normal tea, decent flavor, refreshing. You're acting, right? The director squinted at the assistants. Not acting. It's just, we really like drinking it, can't help it, said fierce-faced Ghost Zhanghao. Blade Ghost 2 Van Vu added cautiously, multiple transformations into ghosts leave aftereffects. After drinking that tea, I feel better. It's more like medicine than tea. Truna chimed in, because I gave Ghost Inga candy. Her affection rose 10 points, but I can't keep feeding her candy forever. The director sighed. The situation was getting ridiculous. He asked Van Han, where did the candies and tea come from? Dropped from a dungeon, she replied. He assumed that meant rewards for side quests or high ratings, but in reality it was simply Van Han cleared a dungeon, game drop rewards, not really related. When he learned she'd cleared 2 dungeons, rated once 2 excellent and once excellent, he was thrilled, thinking he'd found a prodigy, until he heard her talent rank was only D, making him groan and rub his wrists. He had planned to buy some candy and tea for experiments but changed his mind. Freshmen might need those items to survive future dungeons. How could he take them? And so the matter ended unresolved. Over the next week, simulations continued. The seniors teased and toyed with Lin Yuyan's group. While meeting Van Han, they kept falling into the same traps. Zhang Wen fumed. We can heal A and SS class wounds but not a D class. You're too much. To save face, Truna challenged. Have the guts not to use the trick then? Van Han smiled. You have the guts not to fall for it then. Truna, speechless. Ghosting, though small-headed, was sharp. If True delayed even a bit, affection dropped by 1 each time. She didn't want to take the bait, but her ghost didn't agree, so she could only grit her teeth and offer food. Days passed. and Class A's assistants unanimously agreed Van Han had mastered ghost handling. She no longer needed training and should be sent to Class C to train other freshmen after the transfer. Truna advised, don't think classes are useless. The game has a hidden rule: players of similar strength, same region, and less than 7 days apart since last dungeon will be grouped together. It's safer to clear dungeons with schoolmates than strangers. Some with good innate talent get cocky and die early. Suffering here beats dying out there, Van Han laughed. Don't worry, senior. I'm a lazy salted fish, not one for drama or risk. I won't go courting danger. Truna, not one for drama? Before she could reply, notifications popped up. 25 days have passed since last game. The third game is about to begin. Dungeon, Blood Hotel, difficulty, B. Current players, 12 of 12, main quest, survive 7 days in the dungeon. Van Han blinked. How is it B difficulty? First was E, second D, third suddenly B. Something's off. Before she could think, they were teleported into the dungeon. Welcome to the horror game net. Proceed with the 7th day check. In E, Van Han confirmed, yes, check-in successful. Congratulations, you've obtained 2 packs of milk candy. 3 boxes of clear mind tea. 1 pack of dried beef. 30 cubic meters of personal space, merged to total 50 cubic meters. Congratulations on gaining SS level talent. Thief's Hand, SS level innate ability, cannot upgrade, allows up to 3 thefts per day, no range limitation, resets at midnight. 1 pack of dried beef, 10 sticks each. Providing fullness for 15 to 20 minutes. 7 consecutive check-ins achieved, newbie luck removed. As usual, Van Han packed and duplicated the candies, teas, and dried beef, then examined her surroundings. A meeting room with 6 players including herself. 3 had floating eyeball drones above their heads, obviously streaming live. Why is this a B-class dungeon? And Blood Hotel again, one pale player groaned. In this dungeon, total party wipes are normal. Total wipes? The rest turned grim. Then a pig-headed creature entered, level A, and said, you must be the new staff. We need 1 shopper, 3 room cleaners, and 2 meal deliverers. Who's up for what? The one who'd shouted about total wipes quickly said, I'll deliver meals. The others realized the pitfall and rushed to volunteer the same, voices overlapping in a roar. The pig-headed manager frowned and assigned casually, you deliver, you clean rooms, and you, shopping. The last one pointed to his Van Han. Live chat instantly filled with pity. In this dungeon, all jobs are okay except shopping. It's a death trap. You must leave the hotel to buy goods, risk ambush, or get eaten if haggling fails. Countless ways to die. Poor girl, so young. She's probably a student. Slow to respond. Look, everyone else grabbed her roll while she stood still. Amid the sighs, Van Han calmly said, shopping? I'm here to stay at the hotel. I got lost and somehow walked in. The pig-headed manager frowned. Stay? Our Blood Hotel charges 1,000 ghost stars per night. Are you sure? Van Han placed 3,000 ghost stars on the table and said evenly, 3 nights up front. Chapter 12, Do you think I'm arrogant? Seeing a real thick stack of ghost stars, the pig-headed manager changed his attitude in a heartbeat. So you're a valued guest, please wait a moment, I'll take you to your room at once. He turned around, his face flipping in an instant, and lashed out at the other 5 players, bunch of blind fools. A guest takes the wrong turn and you don't even show the way. He snapped his fingers. It doesn't take 3 people to clean 1 room, you lot go do the shopping. The one singled out looked sullen but knew better than to argue and could only swallow it. Get to work. Don't be an eyesore here. The pig-headed manager shooed the workers off, then turned back to Yun Han with a warm smile. Honored guest, this way please. The live room exploded with comments. This big lug has thick brows and big eyes, how come he's got like 2 faces? Weren't we told the higher a ghost's rank, the more it craves flesh and blood and the less it cares about ghost stars? Why does this manager look more and more obsessed with ghost stars? 1 second ago, kill on sight, the next second, the 5 became miserable workers while she turned into a VIP. Folks, who can explain this? What a rush! Told you 1,000 times, high-rank ghosts love flesh is a rumor. In practice the higher the rank, the smarter the ghost, and the pickier its tastes. Some love flesh, some love ghost stars, there are even ones mad for liquor or smoke ghosts. Don't paint them all with one brush. Not entirely wrong though, most high-rank ghosts do lean toward flesh, it's just that the blood-red hotel's owner loves money and pampers customers like deities. Every ghost is different, analyze each ghost specifically, some are calm day and night and won't lose control, and that won't stop other ghosts from going berserk either. Wow,
Does this mean the lass just unlocked a straight-through clearance lane? Not necessarily, she only prepaid 3 days, maybe she doesn't even have that many ghost stars. Amid the chatter, Yun Han chose a room. The pig-headed manager respectfully handed over the key and said, 1,000 ghost stars per day, board and lodging included. You can dine in the hall for the 3 meals or ring the bell to have room service. If you need to add funds, please handle it before 6 o'clock in the afternoon on the 3rd day. Got it, Yun Han replied offhand. The manager withdrew, bowing the whole way. In the room, Yun Han took a look around, then flopped onto the bed with satisfaction. She hadn't watched that many horror streams, but by chance she had seen one about the Blood Red Hotel. Here, money reigns supreme. As long as a guest has enough ghost stars, the entire staff will revere and protect them. Luckier still, she held the replication talent. For her, making money was as easy as turning over a hand. Right now she burrowed into the quilt and refused to move, oddly content. Lying still is pure bliss. Reject pointless rat races, starting with myself. Hello, room cleaning. The cleaning worker knocked politely. The door opened and a customer ghost black as ink showed itself. Come in. The sea-level customer ghost slid aside and warned, clean thoroughly, but don't touch my personal ghostly belongings. Yes. The cleaner lowered his eyes and set to work honestly. The customer ghost gave up the room and went to the front desk to order food. Only one player remained inside. Dark red bloodstains smeared the wooden furniture, bones littered the floor like chicken feet, yet also like finger bones. The player pushed stray thoughts away, refusing to dwell on which creature the bones came from. He grabbed a broom and swept all the bones into the trash, then wiped the blood clean with a rag. When he finished, the customer ghost still hadn't returned. He didn't wait, shut the door, and went to clean another room. A moment later, the hallway rang with the customer ghost's furious bellow, my collection is gone. The cleaner, just about to start the second room, froze. What collection? All kinds of creature index finger bones. Super beautiful, I worked so hard to gather them. The sea-level customer ghost snorted like an enraged bull, glaring at the player. The cleaner, while cleaning, he had indeed found a heap of bones tucked in a hidden corner. He thought the hotel was testing the cleaner's meticulousness and that missing them would mean a poor grade. He never imagined it was a collection and taking it would cause trouble. Was it you who took them? Well, the customer ghost demanded. The cleaner said, they should be in the trash can downstairs, I'll fetch them back for you. The ghost laughed in rage. Once it's in the trash, how does it still count as a collection? If you can't return it, pay with your life. Seeing this couldn't end well, the cleaner sighed, fixation is an illness, go get it treated. As the words fell, he flashed out 3 ghost weapons and in a blink blasted the sea-level customer ghost to ash. If you weren't so fixated, you wouldn't have died. Done, he calmly turned to leave and continue cleaning. Lifting his head, he found the A-level pig-headed manager standing right behind him, having witnessed the entire dispute. The cleaner gaped, let me explain. The manager grabbed the player and tore him apart in fury. Explain my ass. That was our hotel's money tree. 1 player has died. Remaining headcount, 11 of 12. Your order has arrived, room 203, please open up. The room service worker knocked politely. NK Books, come in. With permission, he pushed the trolley in. These are dishes our chef prepared with care, we hope you enjoy. As he spoke, he lifted the lids. The customer ghost circled the cart and smiled strangely. I want to complain, there's hair in the food. It plucked out a long black hair, greed flickering in its eyes. If you treat me to a hand, I won't report you to the manager. Sir, the player wouldn't be baited, this is a long black hair, and I wear my hair short. The customer ghost wouldn't let go. Even if it isn't your shed hair, you still failed to guard it properly, didn't you? The server bowed his head like repenting. The ghost had just curled a satisfied smile when, the next instant, the server liquefied into blood, engulfed it, and in a few brief seconds digested it away. The customer ghost vanished without a trace. The blood pooled back into the shape of the room service worker. Living like this, I can't do even a single day, he said with a face full of grief and woe, secretly relieved that he had locked the door when he entered earlier.
Yunhan napped a while and woke near noon. She tidied up and headed down to eat.
The pig-headed manager was still grumbling. What's with the guest in room 203? Vanished without a word?
The hotel staff were used to it. Aren't guests here all like that? Afraid of being billed extra hours, they just leave without a peep. A bunch of penniless wretches, the manager cursed.
Yunhan descended the stairs and was about to find a seat when a ghost behind her jerked its chin bossily. Hey, go to the kitchen and check my order. It's been over 10 minutes, do you want a noble guest to starve? Yunhan? She pretended not to hear and kept walking. Hey, I'm talking to you. The ghost grew more displeased. Playing deaf, want a bad service rating? Yunhan stopped, casually caught a passing worker ghost, and asked, at the Blood Red Hotel, do guests have to moonlight as waitstaff? Of course not. The worker ghost panicked and hurried to explain to the customer ghost, this one is a checked-in guest, not staff. The chubby ghost lost face, his expression ugly. You're just a regular guest, I'm a supreme VIP. What are you showing off for? The worker ghost tried to mediate. You've waited long for your food, haven't you? I'll go to the kitchen and hurry them.
Yunhan didn't care for his good intentions, and said in an over-the-top tone, wow, a supreme VIP. Then she turned to the worker ghost, so what's the difference from a regular guest? The worker ghost, right now he just wanted to run. When a regular guest and a supreme VIP clash, stuck in the middle, what can he do? For all he knew, those two would walk away fine and he'd be the unlucky one. Ignorant, the fat ghost sneered. A regular guest must spend 30,000 ghost stars at the Blood Red Hotel to be promoted to supreme VIP. Knowing the daily lodging fee was 1,000, 30,000 meant a full month's stay. In the previous dungeon, working odd jobs yielded from 40 to 100 per day. 30,000 was an enormous sum. Even if you neither slept nor ate, you'd need a year to save it.
You have 30,000 ghost stars? Yunhan eyed the fat ghost with doubt.
Prodded, the fat ghost slammed a stack of ghost stars on the table. Let me broaden your horizons. One stack is 10,000, 30,000 is only 3 stacks.
No blank slips tucked inside?
Yunhan arched a brow and openly examined the stack while silently intoning, replicate.
Replication successful. Congratulations, player triggered a 4-fold critical burst.
Player obtained 1 stack of ghost stars times 4.
1 stack of ghost stars times 4 has been auto-stored in the personal space.
Inspection and replication done. Yunhan returned the money as is and said blandly, then I have them too. She drew 4 stacks from her purse, set them on the table, and kept a calm face. I've got 4 stacks, do you think I'm arrogant? The fat ghost, the worker ghost, saved me. It wasn't a regular guest versus a supreme VIP, it was a supreme VIP bumping into a latent supreme VIP. This is how one dies socially. I'll go prod the kitchen. Without waiting to be stopped, the worker ghost beat a hasty retreat.
So you're aloof because you've got some wealth, the fat ghost huffed, but didn't dare act up. Deep pockets often track with real power. He was an exception, all puff and hype. If the other side was the real deal and he butted heads, he might be the one to suffer. No fussing, harmony makes money. The pig-headed manager arrived just in time, slipping between the 2 customers. Honored guest, you're dining, yes? Allow me to guide you, this way.
The form of address rose from customer to honored guest.
Yunhan saw through it but didn't call it out, quietly pocketing the 4 stacks.
The manager led the way, only then did the fat ghost sag into his seat and mutter, that was close.
Elsewhere, even after walking a ways, the manager was still smoothing things over for the supreme VIP. He waited too long and lost his temper and vented on the staff. He's usually very friendly to customers. Don't let a small spat hurt the good mood. Yunhan thought, spat? What spat?
There was none. The moment we met he handed me 4 10,000 ghost stars. I adore him. Van Han was led to sit by the window. She flipped through the menu while the pig-headed manager patiently explained. The earlier pages are regular dishes you can order for free. The last sheet lists special dishes that require extra payment.
She asked, what's special about them?
He answered, for example, this Ghostface salad noodles are strands made with a special plant demon powder. After eating, you can slightly increase your strength. Or this Yellow Springs wine, our house specialty, which after drinking can clearly boost your speed.
the fragrant rice set can very slightly raise your constitution. She nodded, sounds good. When he finished introducing the specials, Van Han closed the menu and slapped down 10,000 ghost stars, bring every special dish, 2 portions each. The pig-headed manager beamed, so generous, I'll have the kitchen make them at once. About 15 minutes later the food arrived. Van Han kept 1 portion for herself and tipped the other straight into Shadow's mouth. Not far away, a chubby ghost had been watching in secret. Seeing her pour an entire set of specials to Shadow, its eyes bulged. Wealth is nothing I can compare, but in sheer nerve it seems I lose. At the same time, room 401. A ghostly guest inside tripped over a wooden carving from who knows where and crashed hard. Furious, he flung the carving against the wall with a loud crack and broke it in 2. Hearing the commotion, Truna rushed in and cried, "Oh dear, that's the decoration our boss loves most." NK Books. The guest snarled, "I am a supreme VIP and you are my dedicated butler. I get tripped by a carving, and instead of caring whether I'm hurt you worry about whether the thing is damaged." Truna looked troubled. Even if you're a supreme VIP, damage to items in the shop still needs compensation. How much? The guest told himself this is an S-grade ghost property that he cannot provoke, so he must go by the rules. Truna smiled and quoted, with favor, 1,500 ghost stars. His head buzzed, he snapped up, how much? 1,500 ghost stars, she enunciated, although it's something the boss dotes on, you are a supreme VIP, so of course we won't make it hard for you. Settle this amount and I'll report the rest to the boss. Even if he's angry and unwilling to forgive you, I will help block his wrath since I am, after all, the dedicated butler assigned to you by the manager. As long as you are in room 401, I will take responsibility for you. The guest fell silent. With you, I truly concede. You're clearly extorting, he refused. I'm going to find the manager for a proper explanation. He strode toward the door, but before reaching it, his soul slipped and he nearly fell. By reflex he grabbed the coat rack beside him, which kept him upright while the rack crashed to the floor with a bang and splintered a chunk. Truna shook her head regretfully. That, too, is something the boss dotes on, selling price 2,800 ghost stars. The guest was speechless. If he insists on seeing the manager and keeps having mishaps along the way, the bill might climb to 10,000. 1,000 ghost stars to buy your silence. Clean up this junk for me. Truna held to principle. Though I am your dedicated butler, I am still a hotel employee. 1,500 ghost stars. Honored to contribute my strength for you, she said with a bow. 10 minutes later the trash was cleared, and a new carving and a new coat rack were moved into room 401. The guest checked out and fled overnight. From this day on he only dared lodge in a standard room at Huyet Sac Hotel, never again the supreme VIP suite. At the mere sight of the dedicated butler he was more afraid than of a high-ranked gluttonous ghost. Truna patted the A-grade ghost infant with spatial shift ability lounging on her shoulder and praised without stint, "Good child, well done." In the afternoon, in a gloomy corner, a covert transaction was underway. "I bought what you wanted." The player in charge of procurement reached to take it, but the other lifted the sack out of reach. The buyer tactfully pressed a sheaf of ghost stars into his hand. "This is the procurement fee." In truth, the amount handed over exceeded the total value of the goods. The extra part was the runner's fee. With money in hand, the other was satisfied and passed the items over. The buyer carefully checked them, counted, then frowned. "Missing one item, the towels I told you to buy?" The other feigned ignorance. "What towels? When did you ever tell me to buy towels?" The player choked down his anger. The runner's fee was already so high, the work still this sloppy. The dungeon's ghosts were shameless, but he dared not cause trouble in the hotel and could not offend the other yet, so he swallowed it. "The goods aren't complete, please make another trip," and he added more compensation. Money received, the runner ghost clapped as if enlightened. "Right, I remember now, your list indeed had towels," then dug in his chest and pulled out 10 snowy white towels obviously prepped in advance. The player forced a smile and thanks, "Much obliged for the errand." "No problem," the runner waved. "If you have more good business like this, call me again. Fair pricing, no cheating the old or the young." "Certainly, certainly." Once the ghost left, his face changed at once. TCH of the runner's fee plus the hassle cost bled him of 500 ghost stars, and the ghost even boasted of fair pricing. What a vicious creature. He fumed, longing to slay the runner on the spot and take back the money, but it was only the first day of the dungeon. Without a runner ghost, How would he manage the next 6 days? All because of that damned female player. The predicament was too hard, and with no good solution he began to vent. If she hadn't paid to stay in Huyet's Sac Hotel, the procurement job should have been hers. The more he thought, the more he believed it, and he decided to act to claw back a share. In the live stream rooms, viewers hopped about like martins in a melon field. Same dungeon, yet someone mooches, fleeces a ghost's wallet and flees overnight. Someone else gets mooched by a ghost and aches over losing 500 ghost stars. Someone toils a day just to crawl to afternoon, while another dines in the lobby then strolls around, leisurely like a vacation instance. Brilliant, truly brilliant. Only pity the viewers who must switch back and forth among rooms to watch different anchors' perspectives. I just ask whether our vacationer dares open her live room, afraid the audience will see her too happy and grow jealous. I've switched 8 rooms already just to catch the wage earners passing by so I can glimpse the potential supreme VIP more times. Does anyone understand me? Chasing idols is exhausting. The rich madam doesn't care. Claim angry and refuse to watch, yet eyes rebel against their master and keep chasing her. Despicable.jpg. So with this many players, will any chivalrous soul go stick close to the pretty little miss, so I can view her stably from another room? Other players, on the clock, busy working, no time for romance, don't queue. Other players, as seasoned viewers, you should equip the skill proficient live room switching. Conclusion: idol chasing relies on oneself, others cannot help. Van Haan wandered the hotel. Huyet's Sac Hotel truly deserved a B-grade instance. C-grade hotel, B-grade customers, B-grade workers everywhere, and now and then even an A-grade passing by. With her not-so-high composite strength, if she were a worker instead of a customer she might be done for at first eye contact. Even so, she was not without recourse. She still had the S-grade concealment in the SS-grade thief's hand. She was seriously thinking how to pass the next hurdle when a surge of water rushed her from behind, trying to envelop her whole. Subjected to a cross-dire attack, E-grade safety jade exerts full power to block. Block successful. Safety jade shattered. Crack, the jade broke. Shadow pounced to grapple. Van Haan slipped aside to watch the situation. Water ghost, grade C, humans contract ghost, ability unknown. So it was a user-driven ghost. Without another word she hid at a corner, ready to merge deeper into the shade. Meanwhile Shadow tangled with the water ghost, seized a gap, turned into a wide black maw, and gulped the wounded water ghost in one bite. Clearly the water ghost refused to accept defeat and thrashed violently inside. Shadow stretched long then snapped short into strange shapes, then, after a few seconds of struggle, could not bear it and spat the water ghost out. The ghost looked thinner and haggard, yet once free lunged again. Shadow met it head-on, and the two rolled together with no winner for now. Damn, the procurement player had sicked his contract ghost to ambush while he himself observed from the dark. At first, using his special ghost chi probe, he had seen the opponent's shadow handling, D-grade talent and composite strength baseline, grade D, and secretly rejoiced, thinking the victory secure. After the ambush failed and the fight turned even, rage flared. You're grade C and you can't beat grade D, how does that sound acceptable? Wanting to save ghost stars, he'd planned to rely on the contract ghost. With the stalemate dragging on and hotel staff likely to hear and rush over at any moment, he had no choice but to pay more. Flying Sword, C-grade ghost chi, can lock onto a target to pursue and kill. Use conditions: 80 ghost stars for 10 seconds of use. Sacrificing different body parts can also activate ghost chi, and duration relates to the part sacrificed. He peeled off a thick stack of ghost stars and barked, "Go." The palm-sized flying sword shot off at great speed, locked onto Van Haan and streaked in as if to decapitate. Hearing the rip of air, she dove deep into the shade and ran, shouting, "Murder! Huyet's Sac Hotel harms for money, slays customers, kills guests." Outside the shadow, the sword circled up and down, unable to find the target. In a corner, the procurement player was dumbfounded. What happened to target-locking pursuit? With ghost stars burning away he recalled the sword, then triggered the D-grade swift boots on his feet and sprinted toward her voice. Van Haan glanced back and saw this, then sank deeper into the dark. Her right hand closed on empty air as if grabbing something. Steal successful. Obtain D-grade swift boots ×1. Steal successful. Obtain C-grade flying sword ×1. Van Haan, your ghost chi is fine, the next second it is mine. Almost instantly the runner lost his boots and stood barefoot on the hotel floor, patting his chest. He found the flying sword gone as well. Shocked and furious, he nearly shouted, "Someone stole my personal gear," but recalling his earlier assassination attempt, he swallowed the roar. Talents and skills are granted by the system, players can only accept them passively. If someone is not good at offense yet survives in mid to high tier instances, it means they excel elsewhere, either evasion or social dealings. In short, they have something unique. Do not provoke lightly, the advice of a top streamer echoed in his ears. His face turned pale, then purple, shifting non-stop. At this moment only one thought remained: to surrender is to win half the game. If he raises the white flag now, will the other side accept it? Get to know him a bit and you might save yourself many years of struggle. The last salesperson didn't win a shred of sympathy, because before he could even open his mouth to negotiate, the pig-headed manager who rushed over after hearing the news had already twisted his neck. "It's all right now, honored guest." The pig-headed manager, 3 parts apologetic and 7 parts respectful, explained to Van Han, "At our Blood Red Hotel, employees absolutely place customers above all. That fellow was on his first day, he must be a spy sent by a rival hotel to make trouble. Van Han, do a bad thing and blame it on a spy sent by the competition." Classic workplace flavor. Van Han stepped out from the shadow in her heart. "I don't want this kind of unpleasant experience to happen a second time." The pig-headed manager thumped his chest in guarantee. "It absolutely won't be repeated." He even took the initiative to express our apology. "I'm willing to break the rules and upgrade you to Supreme VIP, lodging in rooms 401 through 406. The 4th floor rooms are built from solid materials, especially sturdy, and each comes with a dedicated butler. It will be much safer than downstairs." At noon, the pig-headed manager had already witnessed Van Han's financial power and knew this was a patron who could casually pull out 30,000 ghost stars. To keep such a money tree, he decided to break precedent and offer special favors. A dedicated butler? Van Han suddenly understood where the other 6 players who had gone missing since entering the game might have ended up. "All of 401 through 406 are available?" she asked. The pig-headed manager replied, "At present, 401, 403, and 404 are not." Which implied the other 3 rooms were already occupied by Supreme VIPs. "Then take 403. After settling the terms, Van Han took the keycard from the pig-headed manager and entered room 403. "Greetings, I am the dedicated butler of room 403. The door opened, and a young man in an overcoat bowed and offered a respectful salutation. "This is room 403. "Honored guest, does it please you?" the pig-headed manager inquired solicitously. "It'll do, I'll make do here." Van Han gave the room a nitpicking once-over and grudgingly agreed to stay. Hearing a voice that felt faintly familiar, the dedicated butler of room 403 straightened naturally and lifted his head with a smile. When he saw clearly who his future master was, the perfect corporate smile on his face nearly cracked. "Please rest well, if you need anything, simply command." The pig-headed manager soothed her with kind words, fussed for a while, and finally left. When only the 2 players were left in the room, the dedicated butler of 403 stiffly asked, "How is it you?" "I'm surprised to see you here too, Senior." Standing before Van Han was the blade-wielding ghost hunter Senior, Tu Van Vu. "How did you get into this dungeon?" Tu Van Vu was visibly unsettled. Van Han said calmly, "When Senior Sister Truna's entry time came, I happened to be next to her and got pulled in with the wave." Tu Van Vu felt a twinge of guilt. "That entry time was because of me. You all were probably dragged in by me." Still, he could not figure it out. "You only have a D-rank talent and have cleared just 2 dungeons. By rights there's no way you should be pulled into a B-rank dungeon." Van Han thought, who knows? In any case, she was here now. After pondering a bit and getting nowhere, Tu Van Vu simply shelved the question and asked about the day's encounters after entering the dungeon. In an offhand tone, Van Han recounted, "I was first teleported to a conference room, 6 players gathered. The pig-headed manager appeared and assigned work. I didn't want to work, so I chose to.
Check into the Blood Red Hotel instead. The island manager didn't press me. As for a short staff of workers or the hotel being short-handed, what did that have to do with a paying guest? In short, she enjoyed herself and threw the hard problems back to the manager. It would figure itself out. Hearing his junior's account, Tu Van Vu was immediately speechless. How to put it? There was a certain ruthless beauty to not recognizing kin and not caring whether others lived or died. But given her capability, such play was perfectly reasonable. This might well be the only path to survival for a low-tier player who had blundered into a B-rank dungeon.
This is my second time entering the Blood Red Hotel dungeon, Tu Van Vu said slowly.
At the start, 6 players gathered to choose rooms to take charge of. The keys were in envelopes with the room numbers engraved. It was a blind draw.
I was lucky and drew 403.
From the beginning of the game till now, you're the first guest to check in.
Van Han couldn't help marveling at the senior ghost hunter's luck.
Even though she herself had swapped her opening identity card with Ghost Stars, she had still faced a few bumps. The senior, by simply holding up in his room, managed to meet her. Thinking on it, he was the very picture of life's winner. The gaze Van Han turned on her senior grew increasingly admiring.
Tu Van Vu also felt it uncanny.
A room couldn't stay vacant forever. Sooner or later a supreme VIP would move in. If the occupant were a ghost, there would be strife, mind games and murder. If it were an unfamiliar player, better than a ghost, but the mutual unfamiliarity would keep both sides on guard, wary at all times. Yet now the occupant was Van Han.
A schoolmate. They had met before.
There was even the bond of shared lectures. Compared with the other players in the dungeon, she was far more reliable. In such a massive dungeon, to run into an acquaintance by chance, this luck was truly superb. After a short exchange, Tu Van Vu said he would fetch some refreshments from the kitchen and left Van Han alone in the room to give her space to digest. Van Han had no idea how thoughtful her senior was being. As soon as they left, she took out her spoils, C-rank flying daggers and D-rank speed boots, planning to replicate them. She loved the sneak attack style of flying daggers.
If the number was large enough, 10,000 blades unleashed at once, then even at C-rank, the damage would be formidable.
Crits, please. I need crits, best would be 5 crits. Van Han muttered, trying to brainwash the system. After chanting for quite a while, she set the daggers and the speed boots into the case, placed her hands on the lid, and solemnly said, "Replicate."
Replication successful. Congratulations, player has triggered 4 crits. Player has obtained a box of sundries *4. Van Han was overjoyed.
She had taken another step toward becoming a powerhouse. This was the meaning of effort, marking. The sun dipped westward.
Dinner time was near.
Van Han, trailed by her dedicated butler, strode toward the grand hall with a gait that said she recognized no kin. The chubby ghost was the most enthusiastic about eating. That evening, it again arrived first. Seeing Van Han come down the stairs with a dedicated butler in tow, its tigerish face jolted.
Gone only half a day and you've already moved into a VIP room? Van Han, is that so hard?
The chubby ghost, hard if you're poor, just throw Ghost Stars and it isn't. Not hard, yet also a bit hard. Ask a penniless wretch for Ghost Stars and it's worse than asking for his life. 4 people of our station, of course it isn't difficult. The chubby ghost spoke while flipping a wad of Ghost Stars onto the table. The meaning was obvious: you've got money, but I'm no slouch either. Van Han naturally walked by, picked up the wad, and pretended to examine it.
Replication failed. The same item can only be replicated once. Van Han, so you go out and still rely on a wad of Ghost Stars to save face? Didn't you fail to spend the wad from noon? Van Han asked blandly. The chubby ghost? She must be looking down on me.
The chubby ghost flung down 2 more wads of Ghost Stars and snorted. With this many Ghost Stars, spending them all within one day is actually a bit tough.
Tu Van Vu felt a sudden surge of resentment toward the rich. What kind of family was this, tossing around wads of 10,000 denomination Ghost Stars like scrap?
Van Han set down the wad in her hand and, almost absent-mindedly, lifted the other two to admire.
At present, the replication talent is rank A, each replication covers a single unit, and the target's total value must not exceed 10,000 ghost stars. For 20,000 ghost stars, split into 2 replications, replication successful. Player has obtained a wad of ghost stars. Replication successful. Congratulations, player has triggered 2 crits. Player has obtained a wad of ghost stars *2. At that, her quota of 5 replications for the day was spent. The climb from rank A to rank S was no longer far. Van Han realized how markedly the effects improved with a talent rank up. Back when replication was rank B, she could replicate only 3 times per day, with a lower chance for 2 to 5 crits. Now at rank A, she could replicate 5 times per day, with a much higher chance to see 2 to 5 crits. Both effect and profit had ticked up a tier. First replication for the marked item, second for ghost stars, third for flying daggers and boots, fourth and fifth for ghost stars. The day's profit was huge, enough to rival the harvest of dozens of dungeons for an ordinary player. As she mused, she heard the chubby ghost again, smug yet pretending to be modest. "What, dazzled by ghost stars already? Don't be like that, for people of our station, that's embarrassing. I don't use them much right now, so they still feel novel." Van Han set the ghost stars down, then drew a pouch from her purse and slapped a packet of beef jerky onto the table with heroic flair. "A specialty from my homeland, don't be shy, help yourself." "Just this?" The chubby ghost opened the package with disdain, plucked out a strip, and popped it into its mouth. Chew, chew, silence. The next second, it hugged the remaining jerky to its chest, then pushed the 3 wads of ghost stars toward Van Han, its voice ringing like metal. "How many do you have?" "I'll take them all." "1 more packet." The chubby ghost nearly flipped the table. To have money and still fail to buy what you want, no words for how aggravating that is. Considering how rare the jerky was unseen till now, it forced down its temper and tried to look as amiable as possible, asking warmly, "Besides you, where else sells this?" Van Han smiled. "Only one shop, no branches." The chubby ghost tugged a pure black ring from its plump index finger and thunked it onto the table. "Reserve the jerky for me. I'll order 10 packets. No, make it 20. It corrected itself before Van Han could speak. Space Ring, a space-type ghost relic, can store 100 cubic meters of non-living matter without weight. A massive capacity space relic, gifted just like that? The blow to Tu Van Vu was tremendous. Not that he lacked such toys, being a veteran player, his gear was decent, but recalling how hard he had worked for his own storage gear, then comparing it to his junior Z's, he nearly spat a mouthful of old blood. Van Han said, "I'll be staying at the Blood Red Hotel for 7 days. Whatever beef jerky I can make during that time is all yours." "Deal." The chubby ghost felt it had clinched a big transaction and gnawed the jerky in bliss. The chubby ghost's dedicated butler had been hurrying about, now he rushed back to wait upon his master. From afar, seeing the chubby ghost chatting merrily with others, he stopped in his tracks, rooted to the spot. To his face, the master barked orders and made him run in circles. With other players, he smiled like a flower, as if ready to swear brotherhood on the spot. Thick-browed and big-eyed, how could a ghost have 2 faces behind his head? The dedicated butler's chest tightened as he silently cursed his master for faithlessness and fickleness. What a worthless creature. When he first ran into the chubby ghost, Tu Van Vu kept a few degrees of vigilance and quietly guarded himself. As time passed and he watched the one human and one ghost gab on like old friends, he changed his mind. It turned out the redundant one was him. When Van Han and the chubby ghost finally finished their banter, parted with obvious reluctance, and after a long while managed to separate, Tu Van Vu asked, "Do you always clear dungeons by making friends like that?" No. Van Han shook her head. "Then why did you hit it off so well with him?" Tu Van Vu was deeply puzzled. Sometimes he even thought that Van Han's presence in a B-rank dungeon was perfectly reasonable, and perhaps the one who didn't belong here was him. "Didn't you notice? He reeks of money,
his whole body shines with the glow of wealth. Van Haan's eyes gleamed with longing. Make friends with him a bit and you might not have to struggle for many years. Never mind anything else, a single wad of ghost stars worth 10,000 tossed out casually, and not just one wad but several. With largesse like that, if you don't seize the chance to befriend him, you're doing yourself a disservice. Then how about you reflect on yourself? Tu Van Vu looked at the elated Van Haan, his expression a little odd. Back when he entered the horror game, the very first lesson the teacher of the first course drilled into them was, once dragged into the game, stay away from all ghosts, and at all times keep staying alive as the top priority. Before that, he had gone through more than 20 instances, meeting nothing but cunning, deceitful ghosts who almost never greeted humans with a smile, let alone kindness from the heart. Yet Van Haan managed it in a way normal people could hardly comprehend. Beef jerky with milk candy, and tea leaves are the same kind of reward? Tu Van Vu asked. Yes, Van Haan admitted. You just entered the instance, did no task at all, and already got a special reward? Tu Van Vu's gaze turned sharp. Then ask the system, it gave it, Van Haan said, wholly sincere as he looked at the senior. Tu Van Vu averted his eyes, refusing to meet his. I've been pulled into this horror game for 2 years and have never seen any player take rewards from the system so easily, nor have I seen milk candy, tea leaves, and beef jerky like these items that can crazily raise a ghost's favorability. Van Haan pondered for a few seconds, then looked up with heartfelt suggestion. Then how about you reflect on yourself? Tu Van Vu, was it that he lacked knowledge? Clearly the bizarre thing was happening on Van Haan. Senior, what's wrong? Van Haan asked, all innocence. Tu Van Vu suddenly laughed. I just realized you're more capable than I imagined and I'm starting to pin higher hopes on you. I hope you keep at it, wring more specials out of the system, and use the tools well. If there are too many and you can't finish them, share a bit with me. Van Haan also smiled. Kindly look forward to it. In the workers' cafeteria, players exhausted from the day felt no joy of rest. They took their trays and sat, introducing themselves listlessly. Trin Mu, position meal runner, currently accumulated 1 demerit. Quach the Hoa, cleaner, accumulated 2 demerits. Trin Hao, meal runner, 2 demerits, alive for the moment, but soon not. After speaking, the man's face was bloodless. Just got the director's notice, tomorrow I'm reassigned to procurement. The air turned heavy, like a memorial service, not sure whether they mourned others or themselves in a little while. Trin Mi, who had once said that full party wipes in the Blood Red Hotel instance were normal, later fought to be a meal runner to consolidate the intel they had. There were 6 players in the conference room, 2 have died, 1 turned guest, we 3 remain, lucky to survive day 1. But this is a 12-player instance, right? Quach the Hoa asked. Another 6 are assigned as dedicated butlers for rooms 401 through 406. Trin Mi's tone grew weighty. Quach the Hoa brightened. If we cozy up to them, we can hide in those rooms during shifts. Say we're cleaning, can we avoid awkward chats with guests and getting demerit? Trin Mi splashed a cold basin right away. Don't dream, the dedicated butler job is far more dangerous. Our work only might encounter guests, but once a VIP checks into rooms 401 to 406, those players must face a ghostly customer's trouble at all times. Quach the Hoa deflated. He'd thought he'd found a way to muddle through to the end of the instance, but hope snuffed out in a blink. Trin Hao was still sunk in his own thoughts. From the moment he received the pig-headed director's notice of transfer to procurement, he felt he'd gotten a death letter. Tomorrow would be his dying day. So, while the other 2 argued hotly, he stayed silent, grave-faced. As the pair traded ideas trying to find a way to break the game, Trin Hao tugged a corner of his mouth and finally said, if you want to survive, it's NK simple books. Do what that girl player did, pay to stay as a guest. Before the others could answer, he added, the problem is, I have no money. Trin Mu, Quach the Hoa, was it that they didn't know, so they hadn't proposed it? Wasn't it just because they had no money? 1 day costs 1,000 ghost stars, here you neither eat nor drink on the house, how many days of labor to save that up? Trin Hao glanced at his 2 brothers in the same boat and understood their bind. In the Siri world, the wage was low and the job unsafe. When you used ghost chi, you even had to pay a hefty usage fee. Without robbing a few moneyed ghosts, you simply couldn't plug the deficit. I plan to find a chance tonight to make some money, he said slowly. Are you insane? Trin Mia had watched videos about the Blood Red Hotel and knew how dearly customers were valued here. If other workers discover, then don't let them, simple as that. Trin Hao disliked taking risks and normally never went out at night, but now, a single gamble still left a chance at life. while doing nothing meant waiting for death. Whoever does procurement dies. Better that we all find a way to make money and become honored guests of the Blood Red Hotel. Quach the Hoa was moved. Even ignoring procurement, he'd already piled up 2 demerits, one more and he was finished. Rather than be a hotel worker getting yelled at, better go all in. Seeing the other two's eyes meet and their front unify, Trin Mia stood up and drew a line. Too dangerous. I won't join, and you'd best not either.
Is be great at night very dangerous? How so? In room 403, Van Han hugged a pillow on the sofa, curious as a baby listening to the senior's tale. To Van Vu explained, the higher a ghost's rank, the easier it is to feel hunger, and by night the hunger gnaws sharper. The 4th floor's gatekeeper security is reinforced, so no need to worry about outsiders breaking in, but ordinary staff in the workers' dorm, even if the windows are shut, the building is old, and ghosts can slip in through the gap under the door or come up the drains. Van Han, huh, what a ghostly tale indeed. You think ghosts are nice things, they brim with bad ideas. Tu Van Vu locked the door, checked every corner again, and, sure nothing was wrong, warned, sleep early, tomorrow we keep grinding. I'll sleep next door in the guest bedroom. If anything happens, shout loud. Watching the senior busy inside and out, attentive and thorough, Van Han felt a sigh in his heart. Truly a supreme VIP. The treatment is not bad, night like ink, on streets that ought to be quiet. Chewing sounds rose now and then. Vu Haidong lay on the single bed in the guest bedroom of room 406, not daring to close his eyes, to hear a noble guest's call and come at once. The guest bedroom door was thin and left unlocked. Right now he could clearly see the wash of light outside the door and hear thunderous stomach growls. In an ordinary hotel, a hungry guest just ordered food, but in the Blood Red Hotel, when a guest was hungry, players had to worry, would they become the dish on the plate, pretend not to hear, or go out and offer to ask kitchen staff to send food. In the end, Vu Haidong chose to step out, because serving the guest well was the duty of a dedicated butler. Would you like me to order food for you? No sooner had he spoken than he saw a chubby ghost gnawing jerky with loud crunches. Seeing him, it grew wary, hugging the jerky tight like a treasure. You smelled the aroma and came to fight me for food, didn't you? Vu Haidong mustered every ounce of strength to keep a professional smile. No, I heard you were hungry and wanted to order for you. Order what? Don't think I don't know. The chefs went to eat and only a worthless apprentice is on the night shift. The fat ghost huffed. Whatever he brings can be stuffed down. Sure, but you think I'm not picky? In that moment, a strange peace rose in Vu Haidong's chest. Though serving a ghost was a torment and he nearly ran his legs off all day, at least this one was picky. Not only that, it even foraged at midnight. What a precious quality. Then I won't disturb your meal. He bowed and backed into the guest bedroom. Back on the bed, he closed his eyes with ease, seizing time to rest. Meanwhile, Trin Hao and Quach the Hoa left the workers' dorm. Before long they heard a strange mix of sounds, like cloth tearing, like bones being gnawed, like fighting, like many noises all tangled. What's going on over there? Quach the Hoa appeared that way. Following his gaze, Trin Hao saw a ghastly scene. More than a dozen ghosts were brawling. A bit B with its teeth, B ripped C with raw strength. C was grappling D when B sucker punched. D got slammed by C, then spotted E and dropped C to pounding instead. The scene was chaos, every ghost red-eyed, disowning kin, swinging at anything that moved. After watching a moment, Trin Hao realized, they're all staff of the Blood Red Hotel. Quach the Hoa couldn't parse it. Work by day, fight by night. Do ghosts have such rich social lives? Trin Hao thought further. With that kind of fighting, every workday must be short a few staff. The thought lit him up. You can't touch customers, but worker ghosts, can't we kill them? Wait till they're spent, then strike and wipe them all. Scooping up ghost stars and ghost chi by the heap, picturing slaughtering more than a dozen in one go to reap big, his blood burned and he wished the next second would see them all wounded and prone, ready for the taking. The raging wraiths were so engrossed they never noticed the two humans speaking. Everything seemed to track the plan until an accident. One ghost was knocked flying. Eyes locked, both sides froze. Trin Hao and Quach the Hoa instantly invoked ghost chi, trying to silence the witness first. The ghost that had been flung screamed, "There are humans here!" The cry had barely left its mouth when ghost chi blasted it dead. Humans. The dozen-plus ghosts all stopped, turned toward the scream, and arrived in time to see their fellow killed. The two men, pinned by a dozen stairs, felt drums pound in their chests and held one thought, we're done. The mantis stalks the cicada and the sparrow waits behind. Easy to say, impossibly hard to do. Each thinks he is the fisherman, when in truth he is not even the clam or the snipe. The very first night of a B-side, and already we're short on people, worthy of the Blood Red Hotel indeed. That hotel is like this. Ghost stars abound while difficulty only rises. Without ghost stars, you must brave perils to live to the end. I want to see the rich big sister. Why won't she start alive? I'm mad enough to flip a chair. A wealthy sis can be willful, fine if she won't go live, but why won't her dedicated butler stream either? Chair flip twice. Want to see the money goddess make it rain. Want to see an A-grade boss crush the instance. Want to see players sketch ghosts. Before the chat room's wishes finished, the system popped a reminder: a player has died. The current live has ended. One player has died. Current number of survivors, 6 out of 12. At dawn, the moment Van Han opened her eyes, the system's news chased all sleep away. It's only the second day and half the players are gone? A thick sense of crisis surged. The cold system, unmoved, continued to notify: proceed with the 8th check-in? Van Han snapped to yes. Check-in rewards obtained: 3 packs of milk candy, 2 boxes of clear heart tea, 2 packs of beef jerky, 20 cubic meters of personal space, bringing the total to 70 cubic meters. NK
With
books.
the newbie luck drifting off, the daily check-in could only give baseline keepers now. Van Han sighed, bundled the
rewards, and said, replicate. Replication successful. Congratulations, you triggered triple crit. Early luck, lucky all day. Satisfied, Van Han got out of bed. It's another beautiful day. At dawn, Van Han went out to the lobby for breakfast first. The chubby ghost was already waiting, and the moment it saw her it grinned, unusually friendly. How did you sleep last night? Getting used to it? The hotel is nice, but it is not home. Staff slip up now and then. If anything displeases you, just tell me and I will report it to the manager, Van Han. Her face was full of question marks. She glanced past the chubby ghost to its dedicated butler, asking with her eyes what on earth was going on. Vu Haidong looked up at the ceiling. Is it not just another fit of madness? What can you do? You have to get used to it. They were all players. Since the other side refused to play along, Van Han simply asked the ghost in question, what is this about? The chubby ghost chuckled from the heart inside. All my life this is the first time I know what being full is, belly round and tight, not a hint of hunger. Too magical. Then hurried to ask, any more jerky? Sell me a few more bags. Van Han handed over 6 fresh bags. For now that is all. The chubby ghost cradled a bag like an antique, treasuring it to no end, half delighted half regretful. I know you have to wait for good stuff, but this output, is it not too low? A daily yield of 6 bags would make even a ghost weep. Van Han leaned back and shrugged. Nothing I can do, it is not up to me. How many bags you check in each day and whether replication crits are out of your control, so. The daily output might be 1 bag by check-in alone or as many as 10 by double check-in with 5 crits, the chubby ghost inquired. Any way to raise production? Before she could answer he patched in a sales pitch. The higher the output, the more you sell, and the more you earn, as if thinking for Van Han but in truth full of little schemes. Van Han thought and said, there is one method worth a try. What? The chubby ghost pressed. Van Han said solemnly, every time I see ghost stars, I get excited, emotions surging like I was boosted. If you lay several stacks of ghost stars before me, maybe my hidden potential will be triggered. All of the above was made up for fun. In truth, to raise the A-rank gift replication to S-rank you need replication value equal to 100,000 ghost star items. At present the gap to upgrade was not large, just fetch a few more stacks of untouched ghost stars to top up the progress bar. Replication will rise to S-rank and output will naturally grow, easy. The chubby ghost did not hesitate and clattered down 5 stacks of ghost stars. I did not know I would run into you, so I brought these. If it is not enough I will have my men fetch more. Enough. Van Han was overjoyed, stroking each lovely stack of ghost stars. Replication successful. The player obtained 1 stack of ghost stars. Replication successful. Congratulations, the player triggered 4 crits. The player obtained 1 stack of ghost stars, 4 copies. Congratulations, the A-rank gift replication has risen to S-rank. Replication, an S-rank gift. Once upgraded, you may replicate 10 times per day, from 5 to 10. Every replication is a guaranteed crit. From merely high chance to guaranteed, the multiplier is from 6 to 10 times, from 2 to 5 times to 6 to 10 times. Used charges will be cleared at the 24th hour of that day and reset the next day. Worthy of S-rank indeed. Power spiked at once. Van Han was delighted. Since you are straightforward, I will not put on airs. Let us be friends. From now on when you buy from me I will give you a discount. How about 20% off? she thought he would accept with joy, but the chubby ghost shook his head again and again. No, what is due is due, no need to discount. Van Han was puzzled. Did ghost stars burn holes in his hands? Why refuse a bargain? But then the chubby ghost said earnestly, Ghost stars, I am absolutely not short. So do not talk quotas with me, I dislike hearing that. Van Han realized it. What a crafty fellow, retreating to advance. He refused price cuts to affirm bulk purchases, the so-called great wisdom feigning foolishness. I am in high spirits today, let me treat you to breakfast, the chubby ghost said warmly. That is awkward, Van Han declined. I am feeding the old and the young, my portions are big. She did not eat for herself alone but also for her shadow, championing commonwealth and shared progress. It is one meal, how much can it cost? The chubby ghost insisted. Seeing his sincerity, Van Han could not hold out and coyly agreed. Behind them, Vu Haidong. I do not understand. But no matter, you can fail to understand and still live. As long as he could live through to the end of the instance in peace, he did not care what madness the chubby ghost would play. Behind them, Tu Van Vu. The social skills of this junior, if the system rates them below SS rank, I object. Room 401. After scaring the previous guest away, there was no second Supreme VIP that night. Truna shut the door and latched the windows, enjoying the ultra-luxury room alone, and slept like a log. As usual next morning, she was shoved awake by the ghost infant. Before her eyes opened, almost by reflex, she drew a stack of ghost stars from her spatial ring and handed them over. In the next second each ghost star turned into a dense puff of black mist and was inhaled into the ghost infant's belly. Breakfast finished, it still felt unsatisfied and kept pushing its nominal master to feed. Rubbing her eyes as she sat up, Truna fumed. Other quadrilateral gold swallowers only cost money, but you with ghost stars swallow for real. As a veteran player, the senior originally had plenty of ghost stars, rich ghost chi, and a pricey personal value, yet ever since raising the ghost infant, her net worth shrank at speed, hands turned empty, poverty chasing the newbies. I spend this much to raise you, and you still refuse to listen. The more she thought, the angrier she got. She grabbed the ghost infant and smacked its butt, thick-skinned and chubby. It did not care at all, even chirped twice as if to say it was not full and wanted more. Eat more and we go bankrupt. We will talk in the afternoon. The ghost infant grumbled and shook the spatial ring, trying to find food itself. Truna coldly yanked it off the ring. If she let it be, she suspected she would go broke today. Enough, eat more and I will cry for you to see, she said with great swagger but empty pockets. Do not hinder me getting out of bed to go find food. Hearing that, the ghost infant retreated at once. After breakfast in the staff canteen, Truna decided to stroll around, best if she could randomly meet a still-alive player to ask about the situation. Before setting out, she opened her live room. Hello everyone, I am going to roam the instance. Any gifted folks able to sketch a simple map of the Blood Hotel based on my route? To streaming she held a neutral attitude, neither fond nor averse. If she remembered she would go live, if not she would close, casual and free. This time she thought perhaps some expert could draw a map to bless those who came after, so she went live. As soon as the room opened she got a system ping, ding. You received a reward of 100 ghost stars. With note, of the lucky still alive there are 6 players, one is a rich elder sister, Anchor. Hurry and tail her to get a random meetup. Truna blinked. What rich sister, ding. You received a reward of 100 ghost stars. With note, a famed female player swapped her identity card by flinging ghost stars at the opening and later became a Blood Hotel VIP. She is now eating breakfast with a dedicated butler at. Boo-hoo, I want to watch her conquer the instance, pity she never streams. Anchor, do you get me now? Truna, obviously they wanted her to tail the instance player as a live camera. In this horror game, script spoiler messages were permitted, yet when players viewed them a portion would be masked. The less important the content, the greater the tip and the less the masking, thus more reflection. In other words, sometimes it was all nonsense, sometimes all hard spoilers. It sounded unfair, but so what? Some people struggled to the death in the instance. Some watched from behind a screen and savored the show, some awakened SS gifts the moment they entered, some after 3 instances still had no self-defense and could only become meat on the ghost's chopping board. The world was never fair. Ideally, spoiler streaming should help players clear rather than fuel infighting. If it turned into infighting, that was a human choice. Eating breakfast, right? I will take a look. Planning to find others to rendezvous with, Truna thought a moment and chose to head to the lobby. After eating, the chubby ghost warmly invited Van Han to go shopping. Van Han shook her head and refused. No, I want to sit in the lobby a bit longer. The chubby ghost was about to persuade her when Van Han dropped a line that felled him instantly. If I get too tired, I will not have the strength to make jerky. The chubby ghost's face froze for a beat, then rest. Well, if you need anything, just order. Behind him, Vu Haidong. Are you a non-staff contractor of the Blood Hotel? That reverence is about to put her on an altar. He cursed inwardly yet wore a kindly anti-smile, full split-mind energy. Only after layers of solicitous words did the chubby ghost finally leave. Once he was gone, Tu Van Vu asked softly, "You were staying in the lobby alone to meet other players?" Van Han nodded slightly and lowered her voice as well. "If not all 6 then. At least we should see who is still alive. Best to ask about their encounters." With the chubby ghost present, she could not speak freely before his dedicated butler. Even so, it was not fruitless. At least she learned that 6 were still alive, and she, the senior, and the chubby ghost's butler already occupied 3 slots. As they chatted, her knees suddenly felt heavier. Looking down, she found the familiar ghost infant sitting on her lap, beaming at her. Looking up into the distance, she saw the senior standing not far away, petrified. At this moment Truna truly had her hands full. Ding. You received a reward of 100 ghost stars. With note, it is her. It really is her. I am going to tail the rich sister. Ding. You received a reward of 200 ghost stars. With note, anchor, memorize this face, said Autofollow, there will be many tips. Ding. You received a reward of 100 ghost stars. With note, at last we can watch the local tycoon stream. I am weeping with joy, the system prompts rang without cease. At the same time the ghost infant, as if seeing its mother, leapt off her without hesitation and ran forward. What made her head buzz even more was, why was Van Han here? How could she appear in a B-tier instance? You, over here. Van Han crooked a finger, arrogantly selecting Truna and calling her over to talk. She is real, I am crying to death. Live explainer. The rich sister is a supreme VIP who can command hotel staff at will. Sister True is a dedicated butler, and though she currently is not attending a guest, her essence is still hotel staff and her actions remain constrained. To catch the lead, the rich sister relies on her supreme VIP identity to make the first move. Oh heavens, if only I met a reliable player like the rich sister in an instance. I will be the hound and leave the rest to her QAQ. Who understands me? When she speaks I feel safe already. If there is no chance, she creates one so everyone can meet. As the chat hit its stride, the system announced, the player has closed the live room. What under viewer's guidance the anchor finally ran into an instance player, and the first thing after meeting is to shut the live. Who taught you that? Truly shocking, eye-opening. Tell me, are veteran players all this dogged, even more so than instance ghosts? Anchor, get back here. What are you going to plot, to the point of not recognizing people? Tens of thousands online rioted, but the heartless anchor never returned. Once closed, the room stayed closed. Truna stepped up properly, bowed, and greeted the supreme VIP. Why are you here? We were teleported into the instance together. Did you not notice? Van Han asked back. With a proper smile, Truna replied respectfully, if we are dragged into the game together, the normal thought is we would be thrown into the same instance, yet in practice we entered different ones. Van Han, Tu Van Vu looked up. At first I thought that too. Later I felt that if even I can enter a B-tier run, there is no reason the junior could not. Truna was puzzled. Tu Van Vu summarized their meeting, and Truna thought, an A-tier grinding to survive the first day, a B-tier lying down to win, a D-tier holding the highest identity card, not only safe herself but also carrying a teammate. Is this reasonable? It makes my A-tier feel fake, clearly the strongest overall, yet the most exhausted, grievance swelled. 100 million points of imbalance. If we did not meet before that is fine. Now that we have, I want to hug a thigh too, Van Han? She was obviously the weakest in the whole run. What thigh to hug? Tu Van Vu admired her. This one has no high hand airs at all. The senior says thigh and hugs a thigh. In an instant he felt threatened. And you, are you doing fine? Any trouble? Van Han asked with concern. Truna recounted her experience. Tu Van Vu was speechless. And you still want to hug a thigh? Truna glared. You only see me alive and do not know how much I suffered. The forced resettlement of last lives. Household, how much effort I spent. Misstep once and I would be crushed to powder. Tu Van Vu had nothing to say, and Van Han thought, truly, could someone please stand up and bravely declare that if the sky falls they will carry it? I want to hug the thigh too. You two are my senior and senior sister. Why did neither of you say you would carry me? Van Han accused. Tu Van Vu was embarrassed. He could barely manage himself. Carrying another was unrealistic. After all, the Blood Hotel was a B-tier run. Truna was utterly speechless. Your days are far easier than mine and you still expect me to carry.
I have only ever heard of the strong carrying the weak, not the weak directing the strong. Van Han fell silent. Sounds fair. The three stared wide-eyed at one another and the situation stalemated. Suddenly, Truna snorted and laughed. Are you that afraid people will not know we came from the same place? Their styles were identical, capable but loath to think, wishing to lie down and win. Tu Van Vu corrected. You two are lazy to hustle. I merely recognize reality and know that even if I hustle I still cannot carry. Truna narrowed her eyes. So arrogant, are you? Tu Van Vu smiled. With two reliable schoolmates in this run, I feel at ease. Truna, believe your ghost. Let us divide work and cooperate, Van Han suggested. If no one would step up to shoulder the load, then only concerted effort would do. The three immediately exchanged intel. True. Now hoisted the ghost infant and tugged it back. The dedicated butler of room 404 is alive. We met by chance on the way. I will talk to him when I have time. Room 404? Is the guest a chubby ghost? Van Han asked. No, Truna shook her head. The guest I met is thin, like he has not eaten enough, so not the same target. Tu Van Vu explained. The supreme VIP is a chubby ghost. His butler is alive. We saw him at breakfast this morning. Truna did the math. So of the 6, 5 have shown themselves, and 1 has not. Van Han leaned back against the chair and yawned. As long as they are alive, we will meet sooner or later. Chapter 17. Missing one seat here. Trin Mu waited in the workers' cafeteria for a long time yet never saw Quach the Hoa, and when Trin Hao showed up he knew in his gut they were probably done for. I told you not to go, why wouldn't you listen? Trin Mu rubbed his brow in frustration, setting aside that only 6 players were still alive. Among ordinary staff there was just him left, which meant at any moment the pig-headed manager could call him to run procurement. While he was fretting, the plump silhouette of the pig-headed manager came nearer and loomed before him. Manager. Trin Mu really wanted to slip away, pretend he hadn't seen him, but meeting the manager without greeting might be taken as disrespect, so after weighing it up he had to brace himself and take the initiative to say hello. Useless. You can't even handle small errands, the pig-headed manager barked, not saying who he was scolding. Before Trin Mu could make an excuse he got a new assignment. Last night rooms 402 and 405 were missing their dedicated stewards. From today on you are in charge of serving the distinguished guest in room 402. Trin Mu froze. A dedicated steward for 402? Not procurement? Not happy, the manager glared. Trin Mu quickly bowed his head. I'm willing. That's more like it. The manager lectured a bit, then pulled out his phone and dialed a long string of numbers. When the line connected, he said sourly, Is this Yellow Springs delivery? This is the Blood Scarlet Hotel. I placed an order on the Netherworld supermarket for some fresh ingredients. Bring them this afternoon, we can talk about the shipping fee. Sigh, if I had enough staff I wouldn't ask you. Trin Mu was dumbstruck. The procurement task everyone assumed was as sure death could be solved like this? Just place an order online, pay a delivery fee, call the courier company to bring the goods, and it's handled. His feelings were all mixed up, and he almost wanted to grab the pig-headed manager by the collar and roar, You really don't care about people at all. In Trin Mu's eyes, the pig-headed manager was wicked yet slick, toying with players at will. Who knew playing dumb pig could still come with headaches? This helps nothing. Close my eyes for one sleep and somehow there are only 5 human workers left. In the office the manager ranted, aggrieved to the extreme. Losing a few human workers overnight was normal, ghost workers even more so, and if one day no one went missing he'd find it strange. The problem was that at dawn he received a notice. In 3 days several Supreme VIPs would gather at the Blood Scarlet Hotel, anywhere from 2 to 4 in number. If fewer guests came, fine, with a little juggling each Supreme VIP could have 1 human dedicated steward following behind. But if there were 4, then 5 people would have human stewards and 1 would have a ghost worker. That picture was too ugly to imagine. Not every guest likes human stewards, but whether a guest declines is one thing while the hotel's differential treatment is another. Arrange it badly and offend a few Supreme VIPs, and even he couldn't bear the responsibility. After mulling it over, the manager decided to talk to Van Han. In 2 days a few Supreme VIPs will be checking in, and you want to reassign staff to support? Hearing his intent, Van Han immediately realized he wanted to split her from her senior. It was sudden, I only just got the notice. The manager planned to analyze pros and cons, but before he could launch into a spiel Van Han said, I'm just an ordinary customer who got ambushed in the hotel, so they made an exception to put me in a VIP room. By rights the true Supreme VIPs should be prioritized for higher tier service. The manager was overjoyed, never expecting the customer to figure it out herself before he spoke, and he almost praised her from the heart. "You're really a good person." Yet that thought had barely formed when she added, "So, if we don't want anyone slighted, I should be like them, become a true supreme VIP." As she spoke, she tossed out 2 stacks of ghost coins. "I hit it off with the dedicated steward of room 401, so I'll front her 6 days room fee. I'll think about how to use the remaining ghost coins." The sharp turn made the manager stall. Great, not only did his plan fail, he had 1 fewer dedicated steward. Seeing the customer pensive, as if considering hitting it off with the remaining stewards too and inviting them to stay on as ordinary guests, the manager hurried to block it. During this special period, workers can't take leave without cause or abandon their posts. Afraid she'd be displeased, he added considerately, "If the dedicated steward of room 401 suits you, I can authorize transferring her to room 403. Meaning a swap of stewards between 401 and 403, Van Haan tilted her chin. "I'm a supreme VIP guest, aren't I? Why can't I have 2 dedicated stewards at once? Only children make choices, I want both." The manager, "Tu Van Vu, if you didn't know better, you'd think Junior was hugging left and right, eating both male and female. The hotel has no precedent." Cold sweat beaded on the manager. "That's why they're called dedicated stewards." Van Haan pointed at Tu Van Vu, then casually toward the hallway. "He's a hotel guest traveling with me because we get along. We're companions." Tu Van Vu was impressed. Junior's loophole gaming was top tier. The manager stood there dumbfounded, trying to fabricate a reasonable excuse to refuse, but Van Haan gave him no chance, firing away. "Used the remaining ghost coins to have the kitchen make a table of dishes of equal value. I want to feed my pet. Now that I'm a proper supreme VIP, I don't need to work. Okay, if there's nothing else, please step out." Van Haan cast a look, and Tu Van Vu understood, politely inviting the manager out and shutting the door with a bang. The manager, "So there's truly no one left to speak up for me, huh?" Truna received a leave notice and hurried to room 403 to meet up with Van Haan. "And you still say you're not holding anyone's thigh?" Van Haan's face darkened and she denied thrice. "I'm not, I didn't, don't talk nonsense." If rumors spread and ruined her reputation, then later when she needed to latch onto someone else's thigh in a dungeon and failed, what then? That would mean she couldn't even steal laziness anymore. This was very serious. She had always dreamed of slacking off, but circumstances never allowed it and reality kept forcing her forward. Yet even a salted fish has dreams, that one day some hero would carry the match and fly. Taking her along, Truna barely listened, beaming. "It's great that you're here, like this you could graduate on the spot without doing the simulation." Mentioning that made Van Haan sigh. "If I could, I wouldn't enroll at the academy." Truna? 1 compliment and she's already floating? It was just standard business flattery, why take it seriously? Tu Van Vu, if Van Haan didn't attend, they would never have discovered tranquil mind tea and milk candies. In that light, mandatory enrollment by age was a very wise policy. While they chatted, a knock sounded at the door. Truna and Tu Van Vu exchanged a glance and dutifully went to open it. Outside stood the chubby ghost, Vu Haidong, Trin Mu, and the pig-headed manager. Seeing this odd lineup, Truna half blocked the way with a lilting laugh. "Manager, and you are?" The manager didn't want to speak, his eyes full of unspoken grievance. The chubby ghost cheerfully butted in. "Heard you like human stewards, so I brought some just for you." Van Haan? What would she do with so many stewards? Looking at the 2 players with stiff expressions at the door, she thought, are they afraid that with just her, the senior, and the senior sister it'd be a 3-hand landlord game, so they sent 2 more? Then we could play 4-hand mahjong, with 1 extra to run errands and prep snacks, nicely arranged. Maybe that's exactly what the chubby ghost had in mind. "By my idea I should have summoned all the human stewards to serve you, but the guy in room 404 has a foul temper and clings to his steward, won't give him up," the chubby ghost consoled. "Use these first, if it's not enough, tell me and I'll find more." Van Haan, if she accepted, then every outing she'd have 4 stewards trailing behind who wouldn't mistake her for the hotel boss. If she didn't, she looked at the 2 pitiful players and felt neither seemed to have a bright future anyway. "They look like they can work," she said, giving the 2 who'd been shoved over a picky once-over. "Then I'll take them." The chubby ghost beamed and shouted to Vu Haidong and Trin Mu, "Serve her well. Make sure she's satisfied." The 2 murmured assent and obediently entered. The manager watched with heartache yet could do nothing. Once the chubby ghost got willful, he was even harder to handle than Van Haan. With the 2 inside, only the chubby ghost and the manager remained outside. Truna smiled sweetly. If there's nothing else, I'll close the door.
Van Han waved to the chubby ghost. See you in the morning. The chubby ghost got the hint, excitedly clapping the manager's shoulder. She's such a good person. Words cast in bronze. The manager clutched his chest, feeling he could hardly breathe. The door shut with a crisp clang. Inside, Van Han started worrying about how to settle the two newcomers. Vu Haidong and Trin Miu kept silent like mere objects awaiting their owner's arrangement. Just then Truna clapped her hands and bounced. Since you're here, let's play a round of mahjong together?
Van Han?
Honestly, not a bad idea. Thus the live stream room switched to an emperor's eye view of the players playing mahjong. Sick, horse screaming, voice crack. What a powerhouse. Truly a powerhouse. Usually in sub-instances players must carefully serve ghostly VIPs, keep up contact with each other, and watch out not to get caught slacking and labeled abandoning duties during work hours. This time we're lucky to have 6 players alive and 4 got assigned to serve a rich little lady by keeping her company at mahjong. This is too blissful. It's like watching a future big boss star slowly rise. Big sis, carry me. I can play mahjong with you for life. Looks like the dedicated steward of room 404 has the worst luck. There's a thigh to hold but the others all grabbed it while he couldn't. Laugh. I actually watched a live room of players playing mahjong for hours. Who would believe me? Start doubting I'm dreaming. Pinch the boyfriend. Thank goodness, he yelped. Not a dream. Now how do I get to know the future boss? At first Vu Haidong and Trin Miu were uneasy, asking whether hiding in the room to play mahjong was proper, whether they should go find clues and quiz the ghost workers. It's work hours. The manager won't tolerate workers wandering around gossiping, Van Han said deliberately. Keeping a supreme VIP company at play is legitimate work. Do you two look down on this job? At that they shut their mouths, dropped every other thought, and played obediently. In no time more than 3 hours passed, and the only winner at the table, Van Han, called it. Take a break and get ready to eat. Vu Haidong volunteered to tidy the tiles. Trin Miu asked what to eat, where to eat, and whether he should place the order. The mood was merry, stone-faced. Truna pulled Tu Van Vu to a corner. Find a chance to contact the steward of room 404. We're missing one seat here and really need him to join. Tu Van Vu? Missing one seat? Through gritted teeth Truna said, these people have no bottom line trying to please Junior. They draw their own tiles then throw them, afterward pick up a matching set to what I discarded and say I took the hit. Whatever Van Han needs, they discard exactly that, making chow, making pongs, each more eager than the last. I must have 8 lifetimes of bad luck to be stuck playing with them. Pfft, Tu Van Vu couldn't help but laugh. Not everyone can successfully contract an A-rank ghost. Truna herself is A-rank, and with a ghost infant her overall power nears S-rank. Add smarts and seasoned means and people usually curry favor with her. Who knew this time they'd pour all the heavy gifts on Van Han and treat Truna coolly. With such a gap no wonder she bristled. So we call the steward of 404 over so 3 of them can accompany Junior to play? Tu Van Vu caught on, right. Truna snapped bright, then I'll sit to the side and watch them slaughter one another. Chapter 18 Everyone has brains, except me. At the same time, the livestream chat burst out laughing. LOL, poor A-rank. Who told you to slack off? Come on, show your talent, blind them, let them see who's the real king. Then they'll shower you with praise. IQ -1, IQ -1, IQ -1, never thought you'd have to sneak off to flush water and please the VIP. But she's cleared all the stages. Forget flushing water, flushing the whole ocean is fine. I think Vu Haidong and Trin Miu are geniuses. Letting Van Han win makes her happy and willing to play with them. Later she won't give them a hard time. Plus, they earn goodwill without paying any real price like ghost stars or artifacts. Vu Haidong and Trin Miu brilliant. They knew how to please her. Truna brilliant, spotting cheating while playing mahjong. Van Han brilliant, turning 4 players into subordinates. Tu Van Vu brilliant, hugged the thigh earliest. So who's the clown? Me. Everyone's got brains but me. Stop, I'm getting goosebumps. I can feel a second brain growing. Dog brain. Who else gets this? I normally don't even watch mahjong, but when I heard an A-rank boss was going to throw a flushing round, I couldn't wait. I so want to see 3 people rack their brains flattering a tycoon while secretly scheming. Does anyone else remember they're still in a dungeon? This strategy is genius. I'm rewatching it after it ends. Inside the room, the 5 players split up. Unnoticed, Tu Van Vu vanished from the audience's view. Dare you stream it? Dare you? Why keep hiding from us? We're family, don't treat us like outsiders. Boss, please stream, make it a tutorial, even if we don't learn much, at least we'll get ideas. Stream it. Stream it. Don't make me beg on my knees. Amidst the shouting, Tu Van Vu easily made contact with room 404's special butler, Lethua. But unexpectedly, before he could approach, the other came to him first, asking, "So what's your method for killing ghosts?" Room 404. A mantis-type female ghost was devouring bloodflesh while cursing, "That damn fatty. Thinks his background gives him rights to steal from me. I'm not scared of him. I'll eat him sooner or later." Lethua stood quietly, pretending not to exist. The mantis ghost went on, "Special butlers are gourmet meals prepared for VIPs. Every ghost knows that. He already has his share, so why steal mine? Shameless. Lethua, no need to take it that far. Lethua, really wish I could vanish. Lethua, is the distance far enough yet? She wants to talk, I really don't. Face calm as water, heart spamming complaints. Suddenly, the mantis ghost's face twisted in rage. It slammed the table and shouted, "Why does that damn fatty want you? Did you seduce him? Let me tell you, you're my butler. If you want a new master, forget it." Then, furious, she chopped off Lethua's left arm and began crunching it like a snack. "Lethua, if you wanted extra food, just say so, no need for excuses." Ignoring the bleeding, he calmly said, "He doesn't want me. He wants all human butlers, to offer them as gifts." The mantis ghost stayed silent, chewing bite by bite, venting her anger. Lethua instantly understood. She probably knew the truth, just wanted a pretext to eat and blow off steam. After all, after days together, she knew he could regrow limbs like a lizard's tail. No pain, and they grow back quickly. To a ghost, he's an endless supply of fresh meat. If you'd behaved and stayed hidden, he wouldn't even know you existed, she scolded, finishing the arm and still glaring. Any other ghost would have eaten you whole already. Only because I'm kind, I just eat a little each day. Lethua resisted, rolling his eyes. Yes, you're the kindest of all. After eating, she headed to the door. Lethua tried to follow but was snapped at. Still want to show off? Stay here. He lowered his eyes. Humbly, yes. She stormed out. When the door clicked shut, alone, Lethua looked up with a gentle smile. Enjoy your meal? I seasoned it extra. Outside, the mantis ghost had barely stepped out when she ran into the fat ghost. Enemies meeting, eyes flared red. You damn fatty, she snarled, still coveting my butler meat? Don't blame me for being rude. The fat ghost blinked, then fumed. Who are you calling fat? This is fortune weight. Fortune weight? Keep it. I don't want it, she sneered. The fat ghost turned aside, muttering just loud enough for all nearby ghosts to hear. She's just poor, can't afford food, so she's fat and stuck like that. The mantis ghost flushed, ready to strike, then froze stiff and dropped dead. The fat ghost gawked, just as Pighead Manager hurried over to mediate the fight. She fell on her own. I didn't touch her, the fat ghost declared. Pighead Manager checked the body, stunned. Dead. The fat ghost stumbled back, insisting, all the worker ghosts here can testify. I never got close. Still, he wondered, did she really die just from arguing? Such weak nerves? Pighead Manager found it strange too. He could only confirm the VIP ghost was dead, but not how it was bizarre, maybe an old injury? Some ghosts fight daily, get hurt badly, then visit Blood Hotel to splurge before dying. Not impossible. But the mantis ghost? She hadn't fought lately. As he pondered, the fat ghost exclaimed excitedly, she's dead. Doesn't that mean the butler's free? Perfect, send him to room 403.
Pighead manager, suddenly it all made sense. Old wounds and anger combined, dying of rage now seemed perfectly logical. The mantis ghost's death was ruled accidental. At the fat ghost's urgent request, room 404's special butler was reassigned to room 403 that very night. Thus, before going to sleep, Van Han had successfully gathered 5 human butlers. The crowded room made her wonder if this dungeon was really for collecting a harem. Upon arrival, Luthua first thanked Tu Van Vu sincerely, paying his promised fee. The toxin works well, he added, depending on dosage, I can control when it activates. I'd like to buy more. Sure, Tu Van Vu agreed. He was skilled in poisons, his was colorless, tasteless, deadly enough to kill B-class quickly, even A or S given time. For direct combat, poison was limited, but for someone like Luthua, long-term strategist, it was ideal. With enough funds, he'd probably stock 10 bottles. His second task was befriending the master. Thank you for your protection, Luthua said formally to Van Han. I heard you keep a pet, your shadow. My ability is like a lizard's tail, self-detaching. I could serve as its caretaker. Unexpectedly, Van Han shook her head. No need, even unfed, it won't go hungry. Luthua blinked. His ability was fixed regeneration. All he could do was sell it usefully. Normally, others never refused, he always offered willingly. B-rank flesh benefits pets, he reminded. It's picky, it only eats ghosts, not humans, Van Han lied casually. That kind of thing, picky? Luthua understood but felt oddly moved. Van Han then looked around the packed room and asked seriously, where do you all plan to sleep? The room was small, people filled every corner. After discussion, they decided, Trin Mu and Vu Haidong sleep on the floor in the bedroom, the rest in the guest room. Van Han? If anyone's sleeping in the bedroom, it should be Tru Na and Tu Van Vu. Others around her made her uneasy. Absolutely not, Luthua said firmly, explaining, using ghost-type powers too often makes you more ghost-like at night, harder to suppress hunger, sometimes you lose control and attack allies. Contracted ghosts can do the same, attacking even their masters. Trin Mu and Vu Haidong didn't speak, but their faces clearly read, we don't want to wake up to our human boss gone and be left serving ghosts. So they too opposed letting Tru Na and Tu Van Vu stay. Being a ghost sounds fine, I prefer ghosts anyway, Van Han said cheerfully, clapping her hands. Looks like we all agree. Settled. Luthua, Trin Mu, and Vu Haidong? Who agreed? Van Han swept her gaze over them, smiling. If you disagree, leave the room. Silence. Anyone else? She asked sweetly. Pin drop silence. Great, unanimous. Rest up, she said, waving the 3 unfamiliar men toward the guest room. After they left, Tu Van Vu sighed, you should have listened. Van Han explained, there were only 2 options, either you 2 stay and sleep on the floor, or all 5 of you go to the guest room. She wasn't used to sleeping near strangers. In the newbie dungeon she'd had no choice but to sleep in the convenience store hall with strangers, waking every hour. Since then, she'd sworn to grow stronger and never suffer that again. Tu Van Vu, he turned to Tru Na. Should I tie myself to my ghost? So I don't sleepwalk and bite anyone? Before they could decide, Van Han asked curiously, does ghost-type talent really affect you? Yes, Tu Van Vu sighed. At night I'm starving, no matter how much I eat, it's never enough. In fact, last night his stomach burned like fire, hunger overwhelming him. He'd forced himself still, not to scare his junior. If you're hungry, say so, Van Han said, taking out a tea bag of clear heart tea, brewing it, then putting candy on the table. Eat, then sleep. Tu Van Vu's face twisted. To raise her survival rate, he hadn't planned to touch her tea or candy, relying on willpower alone. But seeing how generous she was, she clearly had plenty in stock. You helped me clear the stage, how could I eat your supplies? Tru Na began to refuse, But her ghost, oblivious to manners, darted over and started crunching candy, one bite, another, gone 3 pieces in a flash. Truna froze, all grace forgotten. Van Han waved her hand. Eat, and sleep early. One peaceful night. The next morning, as usual, the system notified, proceed with the 9th daily check-in? Yes, Van Han mumbled sleepily. Reward, 2 bags of candy, 3 boxes of clear heart tea, 2 bags of beef jerky, 10 cubic meters of personal storage, total 80 cubic meters. Replicate. Replication successful. Congratulations, player triggered 8 times critical. Van Han looked at her newly filled inventory, more candy, tea, jerky, ghost stars, and smiled contentedly. In the lobby, the fat ghost was already waiting. Seeing Van Han, it grinned foolishly. Van Han dropped 16 new bags of jerky on the table. Today's meat ration. The fat ghost froze in delight. All mine? After a long pause it erupted in joy, hugging them tight, unwilling to let go. Tell me how to make you happier. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. Yesterday morning it only got 6 bags, today, 16, like a jerky rainstorm. Mood clearly affected yield. It swore to keep Van Han pleased so it could feast daily. The plan sounded great, except it was all a misunderstanding. The surge in jerky production came from her upgraded replication talent, not mood. The fat ghost thought it was linked to her happiness, completely fooled. How to make you happier, let me think. And it thought for 2 whole days. Van Han stayed in her room pondering too but never answered. Since every morning still brought 16 bags, the fat ghost didn't rush her, waiting patiently. On the 5th day of the dungeon, after finishing their usual jerky trade, the fat ghost casually mentioned, 3 VIP lords just arrived. They're hosting an internal exchange to share info, want to come? After 3 days of constant mahjong, Van Han finally wanted a change of pace and agreed readily. Sure, I'll take a look. On the road the chubby ghost kept glancing around and grumbling why there was only 1 steward and where the other 4 were and whether they were being lazy. Van Han thought bringing 5 stewards out together would just force her to show off and smiled that she had assigned the others elsewhere and that this one was strong enough. Truna in a black minisuit stood with crisp poise and, to keep Ghost Bro from trouble, had stuffed him into the contract space beforehand, the chubby ghost. Still nitpicked that it didn't match Van Han's flair. Van Han said the simpler the freer and that too many people were a shackle. The chubby ghost snapped to and agreed that happiness mattered most, which made Truna feel as if the chubby ghost were a sidekick who knew when to advance or retreat. She then chatted that the exchange inside the Blood Red Hotel was famous, full of novel playthings and precious intel, that it was her first time too so she wasn't sure of the flow, that as Supreme VIPs harming each other was banned so safety was guaranteed, that her home had plenty of flashy ghost gear with every function though intel trading was what truly tempted her, and as they spoke the dedicated exchange hall came into view. Upon seeing Truna, the scholar ghost scowled and let off. The dead pig head had said timing was off so there were no human stewards in the shop, so why did she have one and he didn't? Van Han, also a Supreme VIP, airily asked who he had to blame. And said it was because he came late. Only then did he notice Van Han was human and he was about to bark when the chubby ghost jumped in that everything followed first come first served and that he himself had no human steward and wasn't jealous. The scholar ghost only snorted that since when did the Blood Red Hotel allow humans to be Supreme VIPs and that this dragged down the hotel's grade. Van Han told him to ask the manager, while the chubby ghost grew angry that humans could also have fat bundles of ghost stars and that this sounded like species discrimination. Earlier, not wanting to be the only one enjoying the chubby ghost's antics, Truna had started a livestream so friends could watch. Viewers from the old 403 mahjong room cut over en masse to gawk at the chubby ghost clinging excitedly to people and silly protecting Van Han, and seeing the scholar ghost overbearing. The chat roared, "Is that a normal human? That's the source of food and clothes. When you want something you call them dad. Dad is not a gender but a throne. 20 hours a day following the story, sleep squeezed to 4 hours. You ask why I'm so diligent. Because I chase feel-good drama live. Never before have I seen a player tame ghosts. Only a true boss can. Still pouting are you? Before the mistress speaks the fanatics will pout you to death." Mood boosted. Follow the host. Fans +1. Once Van Han and the chubby ghost sat, the red-robed young ghost said if all were present they should start and asked who first. the bunny-eared ghost volunteered to demo since the newcomers didn't know the flow and produced 5 uneven chunks of space stone, raw material for crafting space gear, luxuriously priced, which made True Na's eyelids twitch since space gear was rare in dungeons, yet here 5 units showed at once, even if only stones and not finished gear. This proved how loaded these VIPs were. The bunny-eared ghost named a starting bid and asked for entrance. The chubby ghost raised his sign, no one contested, he paid ghost stars and bagged them. Van Han peered with curiosity and he generously set the stones in front of her to examine. When the scholar ghost's turn came, he drew a long whip, proud that it was a B-rank flame whip perfect for taming beasts, and to show effect he pulled a temp worker ghost to stand before him and lashed down. The whip lived up to its name, leaving charred burn marks as the worker writhed in pain and, after a few lashes, yelped despite himself. The scholar ghost sneered that even this little pain couldn't be endured and that a human would be tougher, which made True Na frown that had the human steward not gone to Van Han, then in 3 days he would have become a display target here. What an odious fellow, you could smell his misanthropy from afar. After grandstanding he asked if the whip worked well, then shouted his price and waited for bids. Van Han asked what it was made of and whether it was sturdy or would snap after a use or two. He snapped that it was ox sinew and plenty tough and told her to feel it. She tugged twice, tossed it back, and merely shook her head. He realized she was nitpicking and turned to the others, but the air went silent. No ghost spoke or bid. The bunny-eared ghost's ears drooped as if not wanting to hear, even bored enough to gnaw ghost stars rather than look, and the whip's auction was dead on arrival. To the side the worker ghost bled and could barely stand, and the scholar ghost even stepped up to kick him, saying his unlucky face disgusted him and he dared to pretend to be wounded, and that just looking was ill-omened, sending the livestream chat's blood pressure soaring. If not for hugging a thigh, all players are still just stewards for supreme VIPs. If that were a human standing there right now, my fists itch, I want to crack him twice, my feet itch, I want to kick him dead. The 4 useless guys next door still playing mahjong. What time do you think it is? Your peaceful days were carried by the local tycoon. Can't you show some respect? Obviously the item is junk and won't sell, so events on the week, shameless. The scene shifted and the red robe ghost said that about a month ago in the East Street Ghost Market a miraculous tea appeared that, when drunk, kept one from feeling hungry. The scholar ghost, still fuming from the failed bids, forgot the spat and sprang up to deny it loudly. The red robe ghost calmly said it was no rumor and that he had drunk it. The scholar ghost gaped and sat down in shock. The red robe said he was sharing to ask if anyone knew more intel, since goods that suddenly hit the market with unclear origin needed public tips to trace the source and ideally he could drink it daily. The chubby ghost thought that miraculous tea, not miraculous jerky, had nothing to do with him. Van Han thought she knew but wouldn't say, and True Na thought it was like a fan-chasing scene, with the true owner sitting in front of them while the crowd was excited and clueless. Amusing indeed. But out of care for her junior she shut the livestream so viewers couldn't hear the next part. To their despair, the red robe waited but no one answered and sat. Van Han, composed, shared intel that besides miraculous tea the market had miraculous milk candy that also dispelled hunger, but sadly releases were small and a few bites were gone, which perked the red robe's ears. But just as Van Han opened she closed and motioned the next speaker, and the red robe thought he would remember her. The chubby ghost, weighing things, casually meant to take out a B-rank ghost gear, end today's exchange, and never return, but after days of hoarding snacks his extra-dimensional pouch yielded a bag of beef jerky, at which he panicked that it was the wrong thing and tried to shove it back to fetch gear, only for the red robe to flash before him, seize his hand, stop him from pocketing it, and cry with fervor that this was the very flavor. The chubby ghost feigned confusion that it was his custom jerky, one of a kind in the ghost realm. The red robe cooled and reasoned that if tea could exist and milk candy could exist then jerky could too. The chubby ghost yanked with all his might to no avail, grew angry and barked to let go. The red robe said he could release his hand but the jerky must stay. The chubby ghost sagged and agreed not to put it back if the other released, which he did, leaving the chubby ghost speechless that his food stock was down one. Van Han hugged her own fragility and maintained the stance of not participating, not intervening, keeping secrets, and minding nobody. The bunny-eared ghost doubted a single bag of jerky could fill a belly and, though he sounded earnest rather than faking it, he still kept a cautious stance until he tasted himself and did not rule out the 2 ghosts colluding to trick ghost stars. The scholar ghost looked eager to stir the market, but the red robe coolly proposed there was no need to fight and that they should set a price, let the 5 supreme VIP split it, and treat it as his treat, which even the chubby ghost accepted since the bag had to go anyway, agreeing might at least bring back 2 sticks, and when had he ever lacked ghost stars? So soon 2 sticks sat before each VIP. the scholar ghost sneered that such a tiny stick almost fooled him with their talk and tossed one into his mouth, but as he chewed his expression changed. The chubby ghost despised his lack of taste and himself pinched off tiny bites, bliss written on his face. After days without eating his fill, the red robe all but gulped a whole stick and leaned back satisfied, and Van Han propped her chin to watch a grand face-changing show, with the bunny-eared ghost the best actor, starting half skeptical, mustering courage to try, then ending in delighted disbelief, emotions
NK
progressing
Books.
clearly. Van Han then said she didn't need jerky and told them to eat, tossing one stick to the chubby ghost and one to the red robe, which moved the chubby ghost to near tears and softened the red robe's gaze toward her, while the scholar ghost glared fiercely as if to say, do you think you're so good at dealing with people, why not give me one? And the bunny-eared ghost merely envied without jealousy, since the jerky came from the chubby ghost's auction and the red robe was the host who treated, so giving to them fit best, though the scholar ghost didn't see it that way and, with fresh and old grudges piled up, deliberately made trouble at Van Han, calling her a lowly human and saying her personal steward role should be stripped and robbed, only for the red robe, after tucking his 2 uneaten sticks into his space gear, to give him a look and tell him not to cause trouble without cause, and the bunny-eared ghost to add that she was a good person and he should not bully her, leaving the scholar ghost fuming that everyone shielded her. The chubby ghost, afraid others would keep thinking about his jerky, stood first and dragged Van Han off in a hurry. The red robe, watching a certain ghost flee like escape, laughed that if he had no secret stash why run, and the bunny-eared ghost likewise understood that leaving so fast meant he surely had more stock, and then the scene closed. After the social exchange event, Yun Han stayed holed up in her room again, partly to avoid danger, partly to use the time to strengthen herself. She touched her spatial ring and checked her personal inventory, more than 30 space stones and 10 immortal flames. She reminded herself not to flaunt her wealth, better to feed her shadow until it was full and stronger as soon as possible. Then she shut the door and focused entirely on cultivation. Every time she fed the shadow, she deliberately avoided other players so no one would notice. 2 days later, congratulations! Talent Grade B Shadow Manipulation has advanced to Grade A. Shadow Manipulation, Grade A Talent, allows full control of the shadow for attacks at will, unlimited usage, up to 90 minutes accumulated per day, automatically resets the next day. 4th trait of the shadow possesses 3 extra-dimensional storage pouches that can swallow and temporarily store prey before digesting, freely switches between digest and combat states. Reading that, Yun Han finally felt at ease. Though its attack power hadn't increased, the extended continuous flight time was enough for self-defense. On the 7th day, the system asked, would you like to perform your 13th mark? Yun Han replied, yes. Mark successful, congratulations, player has received a special reward, marrow cleansing and bone refinement. Before she could ask what that was, her vision went dark and she fainted. She vaguely felt her body soaking in warm water, her whole self relaxed. When she opened her eyes, she felt light, as if reborn. Seeing her awake, Xiaoya said, the fat ghost came looking for you, said it was urgent, couldn't find you anywhere, so he left a message. If you'd slept any longer, you'd have been teleported out of the dungeon and missed him. Yun Han smiled, used the excuse I've been exhausted the past few days, so I slept deeply, then washed her face and told someone to call the fat ghost to room 403. As soon as they met, the fat ghost, teary-eyed, grabbed her hand and complained, those guys are impossible. Ever since I tricked them out of a bag of dried beef, they've followed me everywhere, no sense of ghostly privacy at all. Yun Han comforted him, you've had a hard time, since thanks to him acting as a shield, she'd enjoyed peace for the last 3 days. He then pouted and asked, can I have some more dried beef? His frank, childlike tone was oddly endearing, so Yun Han handed him 20 packs of dried beef and a pack of tough wrapping paper to bundle them into a large sealed bag that hid its contents. Before he could even peek inside, urgent knocking sounded at the door. Startled, he grabbed his ghost coins, the dried beef, and the wrapping paper, tossed them all into his space pouch, and jumped out the window to flee. Yun Han blinked in surprise and signaled Xiaoya to open the door. The red-robed ghost burst in, eyes darting around, and when he didn't find his target, demanded, where's the fat one? Yun Han replied, jumped out the window. The red-robed ghost cursed, damn it, and leapt out after him. Before the door could close, the bunny-eared ghost arrived, offered a perfunctory apology, then perfectly replicated the escape route and dashed off in pursuit without hesitation. 3 others, Li Chang, Wu Haidong, and Chang Miao, stood nearby speechless. 1 fled, 3 chased, chaos all around.
Enough noise already, Yun Han sighed.
Zhaya was about to shut the door when Yun Han suddenly felt her hand lighten. Something was missing. She looked up and saw, over 10 meters away, the scholar ghost grinning smugly, dangling her stolen spatial ring like a trophy. A voice called out, "Teleportation time approaching." As soon as the words fell, the 6 players' bodies shone with white light. Everyone glanced at Yun Han with mixed sympathy, grateful she'd taken one for the
team, yet pitying that she'd be leaving empty-handed.
But no one saw Yun Han's right hand close in midair, grasping tightly as the light consumed her. The scholar ghost had stolen her ring, but gifts must be repaid. Before teleportation took her, she had already stolen the scholar ghost's heart.
Congratulations, player has cleared the Grade B dungeon, your current overall strength, Grade S, outstanding performance.
Reward, 1800 ghost coins and 1 blank property deed. Blank property deed. In the ghost realm, any unowned property can be claimed. Simply fill in the specific address and sign your name, and the signee will instantly own the building.
Nice item, Yun Han murmured, storing the ghost coins and special item in her personal inventory.
Though her spatial ring was stolen, she hadn't truly lost anything, only the ring itself. All the real valuables were always kept in her personal mark space. The visible space gear was merely a decoy. Still, it was ironic, the decoy she wore for show ended up being stolen for real. Yun Han took out the scholar ghost's heart, flicked her wrist, and threw it away. Even a dog wouldn't eat this trash, belongs in the bin. The arc of the throw was beautiful. Her shadow opened its mouth, swallowed it whole, then went dormant again, pretending to be just a normal shadow. In the ghost realm, the fat ghost changed disguises 3 times, altered his route 5 times, and finally lost his pursuers. The moment he got home, he called out, "Bro!
Bro! Come welcome me back." A red-eyed, black-haired young ghost looked up, voice calm and emotionless. "Got into trouble again?" The fat ghost fumed, "Don't say again. I brought back something good, almost got robbed by ghosts for it." The young ghost raised an eyebrow and countered, "Or maybe you got scammed again?" NK Books. The fat ghost choked and snapped, "Can't you trust me for once?" Then he opened his bag, grabbed a few sticks of dried beef, and stuffed them into his brother's mouth. "Don't treat me like an idiot." The unique meaty aroma spread. The young ghost couldn't quite describe the flavor but realized this dried beef was unusual. After 2 bites, the ravenous hunger gnawing inside him met its nemesis. He staggered back in shock, then felt utterly satisfied. "Where'd you get this?" he asked. The fat ghost proudly replied, "Bought it from a human with my wits." Then he gleefully dumped out the rest of his stash, remembering he still had a return gift bag. Opening it, he found it filled with milk candies and a pack of tea leaves wrapped in tough paper. "Good boy. Your allowance doubles next month." While the fat ghost blinked in delight, his brother calmly confiscated over half the dried beef, candies, and tea. The fat ghost stood frozen. Even in his own house he'd been robbed blind. The young ghost said evenly, "Eat fewer sweets, you'll rot your teeth. I'm doing this for your own good." The fat ghost was speechless, truly a brother. After the dungeon ended, Yun Han lounged in her room, enjoying some rest. Meanwhile, Su Wenwu and Jiaya returned to reality, busy reporting to the academic director about what they'd learned inside the dungeon. Yun Han got dragged into a Grade B instance, wasn't injured, didn't hold you back, and even led you all through? The director suspected senility. It made no sense. Zhao Ye emphasized, it already sounded exaggerated when told, but in reality it was even more absurd. At the director's prompting, Su Wenwu recounted everything in detail. Before meeting Yun Han, they were on the brink of death. After joining her, they strolled through the dungeon, even had time to play mahjong until the exit countdown arrived. The director leaned back in his chair, dazed for a long time before recovering. Su Wenwu concluded, it wouldn't be fair to downplay it. Yun Han was genuinely exceptional. The director pondered, then asked, "After 7 days living together, how would you describe her?" Jiaya answered without hesitation, "Strong, empathetic, always ready to help others." Her starting point may have been low, but her semi-hidden talent shows immense potential. Su Wonwoo hesitated, then added, I think she might have dual talents. The director and Jaya both looked over. He hurried to explain it was just speculation. They'd met early in the dungeon, and he'd been watching closely. She never tried to curry favor with ghosts or do side quests, yet her hands were always full of loot. Plus, she used props so casually it seemed unnatural. He suspected she might possess the Fortune's Blessing talent, the legendary dual talent once owned by an upperclassman. Its effect: every time one enters a dungeon, the system automatically spins a reward wheel with 4 possible prizes: 2,222, 6,666, 8,888, and 18,888 ghost coins, with a very small chance of hitting 188,888. That senior's fortune talent had left his classmates in the dust. No need to risk his life when the heavens themselves rained gold. Remembering that chaos, the director grew excited. We can't be sure she's dual talented yet, but maybe ask if she has spare snacks or items to sell. The academy is willing to pay well. At that, Jaya and Su Wonwoo exchanged glances, their expressions odd. The director frowned, out with it. Jaya said tactfully, nothing major, just a small issue right after leaving the dungeon. Su Wonwoo sighed and admitted, Yun Han's spatial gear was stolen. Everything she'd accumulated is basically gone. The director froze as if splashed with ice water in midwinter, then sighed deeply. So, she's still a rookie after all. First trait of the shadow, high regeneration, gradually heals after being injured. Second trait of the shadow, can shapeshift into any form. Third trait of the shadow, superior digestion time after swallowing is halved.